Can somebody take my breath away? Hold me tight, lonely day. I've been searching for something to ease my mind, till you came along, never thought I'd find. Take me away. Chasing this feeling, now I feel brand new. Get on a plane, go wherever with you. Take me away in this moment when I'm here with you. Been chasing this feeling, now I feel brand new. Get on a plane, go wherever with you. Take me away. Took my breath away, held me so tight, it numbed my pain. I was searching for something to ease my mind. Didn't realize you're the one I'd find. Take me away when I'm here with you. Been chasing this feeling, now I feel brand new. Get on a plane, go wherever with you. Take me away in this moment when I'm here with you. Been chasing this feeling, now I feel brand new. Get on a plane, go wherever with you. Take me away.
And what you did to me made me double take it right on my teeth. Had me burning in the third degree. Made me rip off the heart on my sleeve.
I don't know if I can stand another night with you near my side. I can feel us tearing apart from the way you fucked my mind. I can clean my sanity. You're my enemy. You if I could stand another night with you near my side. I can feel us tearing apart from the way you fucked my mind. I can clean my sanity. You're my enemy. You're my enemy. You fucked my mind, I can clean my sanity. You're my enemy.
And you were gone. I said I'm getting out. Fuck this town, I'm gone. I'm always on the run. It didn't go to plan. If it's the wrong move, you can show me where I fucking stand.
Another night with you near my side. I can feel us tearing apart from the way you fucked my mind. I can clean my sanity. You're my enemy. You fucked my mind, I can clean my sanity. You're my enemy.
Folks, welcome back to Shift Summer League. We've got day 2, week 2, and we've got a fun show planned today. Spaceman, how are we feeling this fine Wednesday?
Doing good, man. You know, just having another day here on the Rock, the old spinning turntable. It was a good couple of matches last night. Very exciting. We went to 5 many times, but today is kind of we start to see the separation in this tournament from teams that are clearly in their lane and feeling good and other teams that are starting to get pushed down the ladder and not going to be qualifying for the playoff bracket. So, Hootie, I feel like now that we're kind of figuring out where everybody's at, this is a big make or break day for a lot of squads.
Oh, yeah, this begins the second half of the season. In fact, earlier today, I'm excited to announce Oxygen did lock their spot in the playoff bracket. They've been doing a great job over the EU side. So
Yes,
like
sir.
Spaceman is saying, we're going to start determining who's making it into the playoffs or you know, who has a chance at the very least. Corelli, what how are you feeling this second day of week 2?
I am nervous for those teams sitting in the top 4. 3 out of the 4 teams besides RMC are tied at 6 and 3. That's Genji, Space Station, and Rebellion. Of course, there'll probably be some separation here today in that top 4. But I'm excited. I feel like this, the NA side of Shift Summer League has been very, very exciting. We have a lot of great teams here, but we also have, I think, some unexpected results so far.
Yeah.
G2 sitting barely above 500 is something that I don't think anyone would have expected.
Definitely not. Well, listen, we talk about how these teams are starting to kind of separate themselves, and we've got this right here. This is actually the NA standings, but you can see RMC at the top. They have been performing very consistently across the board, and I think that's kind of been the MO for this event. You know, some of these teams have just been up and down, that is true for teams at the top like Gen.G with a slow start, and they obviously pulled things together. But then you have the opposite with like Incorrect. You know, they a slow start and they regain, and then they kind of had a cool off as well. So it's just been kind of all over the place, very unpredictable, and I think like Corelli said, makes things exciting. Well, let's take a look at prizing as well. Just to remind everyone, as we roll into the playoff bracket, you can take a look at what is the spread for the prizing. 9K for first place, 5K second place, 2,500 third, 1,500 fourth, and fifth and sixth. Gonna be taking home 1,000 each. And if you are placing 7th through 10th, you are not making the playoffs. You're not taking home any cash. So it's important to obviously qualify into that playoff bracket so you can get you some cheddar in the Shift Summer League. Well, listen, we've had an awesome first week, And then we had a really good day yesterday. In fact, it was so good. We had some highlights that we wanted to share with you. Spaceman.
Yes, sir.
You have something for us?
I have many things in my big sack that I come down in the chimney with. So let's talk about it, because here we go for my top 5 plays, baby. Let's get it rolling. It's Spaceman top 5. All of the recap from yesterday. Let's start things off with the one, the only Atomic. This was a goal line save that Corelli and I were on the call for. It was exciting because Atomic, usually in these spots, so good at being able to scoop the ball and then get downfield and start to score. Not in this instance. Atomic, Massimo was everywhere, right? You're playing through the corner, like, okay, here comes a great counterattack. Genji, what are they going to do? Off the post, ricochets out. Atomic actually flips into the ball twice and gets a massive stop on the goal line. A little 0-4 wall of runes and a perfect defender at that. Let's get to our number 4. This is Justin's assist downfield. And what I like so much about this, again, is the selflessness that we see from Justin, especially on this roster. Look at that small little redirect. Gets it right perfectly in the center of the lane. Season 5 world shot, Justin. No, I want the legacy to be this assist right here. This is just perfect. Season 13, maybe, I don't know the math. Toothpiece is in the right place, right time. Puts it on its way. A nice quality lead and a healthy win for Shopify Rebellion. They keep moving on in this tournament, but now to number 3. This is Cheese's dynamite spot. I don't know how he got the touch on this thing. I don't know what kind of training packs he's been hitting, what kind of free play he's been manipulating in the offseason, but this touch by Cheese is absolutely filthy. He was doing it when he was with Luminosity Gaming. He's been doing it at RMC, and if he keeps up this kind of pressure, this kind of prowess, Cheese is going to be one of the best players to watch in the offseason. Cheese, the setup, the dish, the dime, get me to number 2. Magic Bear is up next, and we are running it back to back with the boys on RMC. Magic Bear, again, set up by Cheese. Watch Cheese catch this, immediately look for the ground. I'm going to pinch this out to Magic Bear. Magic Bear recognizes, comes out of the corner, and puts a bullet. Top right slot, Corelli, remember it. Magic Bear picks up in crunch time and recognizes the space. SSG had no way to stop this one. Magic Bear sends it on its way. No way to save it. Don't even try thinking about it. Get me to number 1. Daniel, of course, the superstar. The other player on G2 outside of beast mode that still exists is Daniel. From the side wall, beats 1, has 2 in front, and skirts underneath and pinches it to the lower post. It's perfect from Daniel. A little 1v3. Give me back my son. Daniel from the side wall beats first killer. Gets under 1. Chronic gets a little chip shot, but skirts it around and pitches it underneath. G2 getting, again, the top spot. That's my top 5. And yeah, I think it was a good place. We got a lot of good plays yesterday. Corelli, how you feeling about that?
This ball is sent into Fenway.
Really?
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry I had to do it. You know, you said top right slot, whatever. You know,
Yeah,
great,
that's right,
great
baby. It was
Boston
top right
call.
slot, baby.
No, hey, listen, I love seeing our boys RMC up there in the top 5s, maybe top 10s in the future. You gotta love it. They've been playing well, and they deserve some love in these top 5s.
Absolutely. No surprise to see them in there twice, too, with RMC, of course, at the
Really
top of the league. What is a little surprising, I mean, not surprising to see G2 clipping, but, you know, even in their losses, they are just so individually gifted. They find themselves in that top 5. Always impressive. Now, you know, we talked a little bit before the show, guys, and one of the things that we talked about was how hot it is. This is the Summer League. Things are heating up.
That's right.
And we've got some players heating up. Let's take a look. This is Hootie's Heat Check. We're going to see who has been popping off. And first, we got to talk about Wonder Mike. The forecast, unfortunately, has been cooling down, but we wanted to give some praise. Wonder Mike last week was unbelievable. He was an integral piece of Incorrect success over Gen G. Now, this week, they have had a little slow start to day 1. But Wonder Mike, we're going to see if he can maybe get back on the right track and heat things up. But here in the 2-piece for Shopify Rebellion, I mean, 88 degrees Fahrenheit, freedom units, by the way.
That's right.
That's
this
right.
Man,
Let him know, Hootie.
let him know. This man was huge for Rebellion. We talked about how incredible they did, even with Memory. No shade to Memory, but the fact that they can go 3-3 in that first week with their coach playing, I think that kind of set the tone for what to expect when 2-piece got back into the roster. And yesterday we saw it, especially in that match on the mainstream, Rebellion versus Dig. It was the 2-piece, Justin and Parth show. They have such a high-powered offense, and that was on display, welcoming 2-piece back to Shopify Rebellion. And then, of course, Chronic, another match that we saw on the mainstream, Gen G versus G2. I think there was I think game 2 Chronic had 4 of the 5 goals. The man was clipping left and right. We saw him pre-jumping. He had no respect for what G2 was bringing. There was a specific play where Daniel grabs things and pulls it up into an air dribble. And normally, you got to respect that because Daniel's got so many different options. A flip reset, he might take it up to the ceiling. You have no idea what he's going to do, but Chronic, he didn't care. He got up quick, dunked it straight on target. Chronic was absolutely on fire yesterday. And Gen G, alongside Rebellion, both 3-0 in day 1 of week number 2. I expect them to keep rolling on. And that is the forecast for the hot summer week here in week number 2. Gentlemen, what are we thinking about specifically the 2 players on the upwards trajectory, 2-piece and Chronic? Wonder Mike again, last week, a great showing, a little bit cooler this week, but those 2 surging forwards and their teams are climbing the ranks alongside that.
I feel like the Chronic pick's a great pick. You talk about his game 1 and his last series yesterday. That kid was all over the other side. I felt like he was, a one-man army. He didn't even need his teammates with the amount of talent he's surrounded by, and yet he could take over the game. And a big reason why Gen G were able to have the series that they did, talk about G2 and that game 1. This is Chronic, great pick for a guy who's going to be heating up, I'm sure. Especially for a team that's sitting at number 2 right now. That's one of those teams that are sitting at 6-3 in NA. It's going to be heating up on multiple fronts here in league play.
And Spaceman, what are you thinking about the Rebellion roster specifically? I think that was, at least against Dig, that's what we got to see. That was a very impressive performance. I love, and they play some of my favorite Rocket League, just that full send. We're going to beat you by attacking and slamming this into the back of your net as frequently as we can. One of the things that I feel like a coach has always said, the best defense is offense, right? Like if you don't ever have to play defense, you're not going to concede. So this Rebellion squad, what are you thinking about them with the addition of 2-piece now in week 2?
I think that 2-piece brings, one, he slots back into the roster really, really easily, which is always great. It's always good to have that cohesion. But the other thing is how decisive this team was offensively with the ball. Like they weren't wasting a lot of time. One of the things that I said yesterday in our call out during the cast was how once they pulled the rebound defensively, they were upfield knowing exactly what spot they wanted to be in. Their mechanics were good enough to get them there, and then they were scoring. Like they weren't wasting a lot of time pulling the counterattacks out, really orchestrating an offense and taking time upfield, which normally is a good thing. Normally you want to have an offense that has a steady presence past the midfield. But for Shopify, they were doing a really great job of executing upfield with minimal boost burn and a lot of low possession on ball in pressure moments. Like they just knew where they needed to be and when to score. That's credit to Justin. That's really credit to 2-piece. And the fact that you can put him back in the roster and all of a sudden have that success right off the bat. And it feels like they play faster defensively, they play faster offensively. But the one thing that best teams do, which is also playing into what Chronic brought to the table yesterday, the best teams in the world, no matter what team it is, they all play very decisive on ball offensively and off ball defensively. You know exactly where they need to be. When we watched K-Corp make their dominant run last year and parts of this year, that's what they excelled at. Same thing with Vitality. When Vitality was beating everybody, they were decisive every single play on the field, every pocket of space they could work, and they knew what they needed to do. It sounds very overdramatic, but it's such an important thing of having cohesion as a team. And 2-piece just slotting back in. There was no moment yesterday, I think, where Crowley and I were sitting there thinking, okay, if they get beat on this, then they're going to get in their own head and, maybe things slow down. They always looked like they were in control of the game. It didn't matter how it was going to go. So very, very impressed with 2-piece, just individually as a player, always have been. But I like to see what players do in the system and in the Shopify Rebellion system. This team looks like they could be competing for top 4, if not top 3. Like we're looking at RMC, we're looking at Gen G. I expect Shopify to be in that conversation as well. And it's cool to see Shopify hit that stride as Chronic kind of individually started stepping up and doing the same thing for Gen G. So Shopify is one of the teams right now where any team in NA should be scared to play them. They look very good.
They sure do. Well, listen, we talked a little bit about yesterday, a little bit about last week. We've shown some highlights from what has been, but let's take a look at what's going to be today. We've got our first match on the mainstream between OG and Dignitas. Now, this is a super exciting match because I think this is going to shape up to be a great match. Both of these teams have been a little inconsistent throughout this league. Yesterday, we mentioned that OG probably, I think it's fair to say maybe underperforming at the moment. But when you look a little closer, they're in a lot of game 5s. And some of those, they probably should. They should be able to close it out. And that, it's no excuse by any means. It's still a loss in game 5. But when you're competitive and you're taking most teams to game 5, I think that's a little bit different than being blown out. Whereas Dig, on the other hand, they've got some really impressive wins, but they've also got some question mark losses. Like, what are you doing losing there? So I'm very interested to see, and Corelli, you said it a couple times yesterday, what Dignitas are we going to get today?
Yeah, and to be fair, yesterday we got a Dignitas that beat OG. Their series against Rebellion maybe didn't paint the full picture of what we got from Dignitas yesterday, but they certainly beat OG 3-1. Now, it was a pretty tight series. A couple of those games were one-goal games, but and of course, the game that OG beat Dignitas, it was a blowout game. It was like 5-1. So, yeah, I think you could also kind of put that tag on OG, because right now OG's sitting 2-7 in the league right now. Yep. That's not good for a team that's going to lands here in NA. That's really not the expectation. So this one, it's a coin flip, I feel like, when it comes to the consistency of the teams in the context of SSL.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, here's what we got. We've got some predictions for you guys today. We'll just go ahead and right back to you, Corelli. What are your official predictions for this first series on the mainstream?
I think we're going 5 right off the bat, and I'm going with OG. I've got OG in this one. I think that they will do better than they did in their previous matchup, which was yesterday against Dignitas. I think they'll learn, and today's the day for victory.
All right. Well, Spaceman, what are your thoughts about OG Dig for our first match?
Similar sentiment to my feelings of Gen G yesterday. Same situation here. I have not seen enough from OG as of late to prove to me that they can either A, ice up in game 5, or B, get away from this weird rut they're in where they started off really, really sluggish in the beginning of the season. They started to figure it out more and more. The offense got a little bit more potent. They were not going 5 as often, and they were really, kind of taking control of series in games 2 and 3. I don't know what's been going on in the Shift Summer League, but I feel like they're kind of falling back on bad habits and regressing as a team. And I, as still as contested as they play, I still think Dignitas have the edge simply because OG has not proven to me that they can close out a series in 5 at this point. The record shows it. And Dig already took it 3-1 against them. I think Dig just have a better offensive game plan, and I think they're just a little bit more cohesive right now. So I'm taking Dig.
All right. Before I make my decision, I know that we talked about it beforehand. Before I make my decision, let me take a look at some of these matches. So we'll just run through. Dig, to start this thing, they got a 3-0 victory over Gen G. They lost in game 5 to RMC. They win in game 5 versus Fun. They've got a 3-2 victory over G2, and this is exactly what we're talking about. They have big wins and then just kind of head-scratching losses here. A 3-1 loss to Incorrect and a 3-0 victory over Poab. And then yesterday, of course, like you said, they took down OG 3-1. They lose to Space Station in 5, and then they lose to Rebellion here on the mainstream. Inconsistency certainly apparent there with Dig.
And those games, by the way, just to tack on there, Hoodie, those games are like back-to-back. We're talking, this is not day-to-day. These are games that are back-to-back. You go and you beat G2 in 5, then lose to Incorrect 3-1. No offense to the boys on Incorrect, but if you're playing at a level where you're beating G2 in game 5, no matter what level G2's sitting at, you're doing something right. And for them to then back that up with a loss to Incorrect is, like you said, very head-scratching.
Very head-scratching. With OG, on the other hand, Corelli, you mentioned it. They're 2-7 in series, which is for a team attending Worlds, and that was at both international lands representing North America. Certainly not the expectation. Let's just take a quick look through what they've done. OG with a 3-1 victory to kick off SSL over Incorrect. Then they lose in game 5 to G2, and that's kind of what I was getting at earlier. That is a loss, right? You still lose in game 5, but that is not something to be too upset about. G2's a quality squad. OG loses in game 5 to Space Station. That's another one that, again, not an excuse. You need to be winning.
And that specifically was a match that they could have won many times. We watched. I mean, we had it on main. That's a match that they could have been able to win.
So a couple of game 5 losses there. At the very least, they are competitive. Now they've got a game 5 win over Fun. They've got a game 5 loss to RMC. They've got a 3-1 loss to Gen G, and then yesterday, of course, a 3-1 loss to Dig. a Game 5 loss to Rebellion, and to round out the day, a Game 5 loss to Poab. And so, they're so close to figuring it out. They keep pushing these series to 5. They're competitive with some of the top teams in this league. You know what? I think I'm going to flip. I talked about Dig.
Okay.
I think I'm going to flip. I'm going to go OG. I think now is the time. Now is the time. We're in the second half of league play, right? And I think that they probably know it's now or never, especially with their current record of 2-7. They've got to make a big surge, and they've got to make it happen right now. And one thing that could, it could be possible with some of these squads, especially your squads attending Worlds. I would not be surprised, and I know Gen G was this way. I would not be surprised if some of them took a little bit of a break after the major, get their mind off the game, because then, as we close into Worlds, they're going to have to lock in. They're going to have to be focused, where a lot of their peers are probably going to be kind of winding down. So they may have taken a little bit of a break, use this Shift Summer League to kind of get back into the groove, get back into the swing of scrims, getting focused, staying focused throughout these series. And it's obvious that there's still something to figure out right here, right? They're not closing out the series while they're playing competitive. They're not closing it out. But I think they're going to do it. This is a very experienced squad. It's a very mature squad. I think they have proven that throughout the season, maybe slightly overperforming due to community or compared to community expectations, but a solid squad nonetheless, like I said, with plenty of achievements, winners, and I think now is, like I said, it's now or never. So they've got to figure it out right here, right now. And we're going to get this thing underway in just a moment. We got OG versus Dig on the way, best of 5, just like we've done for the rest of these. Spaceman, who is your key player? You've got Dig here in the best of 5. Who is your key player for those guys to secure that victory?
I'm going to put pressure on JNaps. I think just as a striker, I think he needs to have a pretty solid series. We know what we're going to get from Com. I know what we're going to get from Noli. Noli, at least as of late, has been maybe not as explosive as he was back on Gen G, but he's still been able to be a very reliable deep back for this team as a second man, and he's been really, really excellent at shadowing the countering second player. Really, when counterattacks start to unfold for the other team, he's usually the first one scouting out information and finding space where he can become effective. And then you see Com kind of adjust his counterattack, you see JNaps adjust his setup as they rotate back because of Noli's information. But I mean, at the end of the day, you got to win this series by scoring. This team, it's easy to say score more and you win, but I feel like for this squad specifically, they've had so many high expectations. When this roster was formed, there were questions for sure, but everybody expected them to figure it out. They slowly did. Yeah. This is not a team that's going to put 5 or 6 goals on the board every single game. They're going to win games 2-1, 3-2, maybe 4-2. It's going to be close, but it's really interesting how this squad has, it feels like, kind of fallen back to some of the woes they had at the beginning of the season with having struggles with closing it out. I understand the discussion about teams taking time off, and rightfully so. Worlds is 3 months away after the last major, but I would hope that teams are taking 2 or 3 weeks to regroup and then back to practice. If teams are taking a month, 2 months off before Worlds and now just getting back to scrims, that's very worrying for a lot of for me, and I'm assuming for a lot of teams, because why are you taking 2 months of extra prep time before the biggest event of your life to not be in scrimming every single day and practicing? So that's what I'm worried about right now, is that one, I just don't see this team having the scoring ability that they had when they were figuring out the problems later in the season. So I'm putting pressure on JNaps to be an X factor today. But 2 is, I am worried at the moment. I know it's a mid-season league, but I am worried about OG's chances going into Worlds if they don't perform today, because all of our sample size tells us is the team is starting to figure things out, haven't had the greatest lane performances this year, and now they're sitting basically dead last in this entire league. So if they're going to Worlds, I'm very, very concerned if they don't come out today and have a very strong showing, because how can I then put investment and trust in this roster to perform at a major event if they're getting blown out by Gen G, if they're going the distance with mid-pack teams, but then losing in 5? So there's a lot here that OG need to figure out, and the best way to hush the doubters, to hush the analyst desk, myself specifically in this conversation, is to come out and show us that the last 2 weeks have been a fluke, yesterday was a mishap, or that their scoring is back to what it was around March, April of this year. If that isn't the case, I'm very, very concerned about OG going into Worlds, because they have not proven, even in a secondary auxiliary tournament, that even in scrims, that they can, with very little pressure, that they can take down people in their same skill level, if not better competition. So I know that was a ramble, but like I'm putting pressure on JNAP to score today.
Yeah.
They have to. OG has to prove that they're not just at where they're at now. They have to prove that they are playoff caliber. They have to prove that they are 2 times better than what they've shown us. And this is a team that's going to be representing NA in the World Championship. I would hope that they have not been taking 2 months off. I hope they've been in the lab, because that is not a good sign. If you're any pro roster who's been taking time off for like 2 months, you should be screaming every day for the biggest tournament of your life. So I'm hoping for good stuff from OG. I think we'll get it. I don't want this to be like a sour note. I think we will get it. But it's just like, that's what this tournament brings to the table.
Yeah.
That's what this is all about. And this is what these discussions need to be had. I'm very shocked that OG sitting at 2-7 at the bottom of the leaderboard, man. I didn't expect them to be that lackluster going into this. So
yeah, I am too. Well, hey, I like the shout with JNAP, so I think I'm going to give a quick shout on the other side. I want to see Devo. Oh my goodness, Evo.
No.
Evo. I want to
He's
see
retired.
Evo step up. I think he was a little bit quiet yesterday. We saw him at the beginning of the show last week from him and Zanil both being big playmakers, getting Arsenal involved. And yesterday we didn't quite see that, at least here on the mainstream. I want to see Evo get back to work, generating some chances for his team and getting everyone involved. Well, listen, hey, enough yapping from us. We've got OG, we've got Dignitas. Match number 1 on the way. Fellas, y'all take it away.
Well, Corelli, big questions have been asked, and I assume many answers are to follow. Dignitas versus OG. We saw the matchup yesterday. Dignitas took it 3-1, but yet again, ice has been the factor or lack thereof for OG. Do they turn it around here in a best of 5? It feels like a must-win series for them.
And I want to back what Hoodie said there at the end. I think that Evo is a big proponent to the offense of Dignitas. And if he can find those solo plays that he's been well known to find in a lot of the series that we've seen in tournaments like this, and of course in RLCS, I think Dignitas will have success. But OG, like you guys touched on, they just, I mean, to put it simply, for all the yapping that we got there, they just haven't been clutch. They put themselves in winning positions. They've gotten to game 5s, but they haven't clutched up. And that's the big thing for OG right now in this tournament, is clutching up in those game 5s against good teams, and certainly against teams like Dignitas, who have proven to be inconsistent. That's some great placement from Calm to start things off for OG.
And it's just a perfect setup. Noli gets a little chip onto Zanil. JNAP's perfect center, and Calm beats the last defender. We needed to see more from the offense of OG. Maybe it goes back to those fundamentals, the old reliable, the physical play. Maybe the demos from Calm can be a factor if a player like Evo and Dignitas is not showing up in the stat card as often. As I say that, though, Evo dishes out some pain of his own, and an immediate counterattack leads way to a tie game.
Yeah, look at this kickoff. 2 challenges in the midfield, but Evo goes for the demo after his challenge, and it leaves the third man, Arsenal, with a free shot on net. Brilliant from Dignitas, and they get their rebuttal.
We've seen it a couple of times now where Dignitas have given up a pretty fancy opening goal and then immediately respond on the kickoff. So have to feel confident about at least the strats early on. However, it has been an OG show to start. Arsenal carrying it right up the gut. Noli will handle it just fine. We'll make sure all the players are good to go. I think we are, so we'll keep things moving. Evo gives it back to Calm. Off the backboard, immediately redirected through the corner. But again, when we talked about OG coming into this series, yes, they're sitting at 2-7 in the league overall. Yes, their scoring hasn't really been there. Is it just as simple as JNAPs need to score more? Noli needs to be a better factor at the midfield. What are you seeing, Corelli, that this team needs to get back to or improve upon going into the series?
Well, it's never like one player needs to do this, 1 + 1 = 2. It's always like multiple things that you have to consider for OG. And honestly, I like getting the physical play going already. Nolly and Calm are so big on finding defenders and removing them from the equation. That'll open up a lot of opportunity for OG. And a lot of their style, it's not super flashy. It's actually very basic in the way that they approach the game. They want to keep it simple. They like finding the passing plays. You'll see a lot of ground passes in the final third from OG. That's their bread and butter. That's where they find a lot of their success. And it's beautiful Rocket League again here. Nolly just putting away, in essence, a very simple goal. And for OG, back into the lead they go.
It's just really quality 50s across the board. OG, a phenomenal job so far, applying the pressure upfield. Calm leading the charge there on the following goal, taking the lead right back with plenty of time still to kick this one forward. Calm circling through the kickoff, gets it around Evo, and Evo instead will hold back and throw it forward. Arsenal clears it off the back wall. JNAP's taking control of this possession and keeping it moving up through the midfield. Zanil will have to track it down, but already 2 up. Com circling through, grabbing the corner boost. Going to be a nuisance in the back line. If OG can find the clear, maybe some space at the midfield to work through.
For Dignitas, our big criticism last night when they went up against Rebellion was they weren't holding on to the ball for long enough to generate a scary attack, and maybe more importantly, their attacks were just never dangerous. They were just throwing the ball away, or they weren't winning challenges. They were a little reactive instead of proactive. So I think that proactive play is maybe the biggest key for Dignitas. Moving downfield, finding each other, making something happen, making defenders think just past the first challenge is so important. And right now, I don't think Dignitas have done a very good job of it. It's been a lot of OG fishing in the attacking half.
I mean, you could apply that proactive label to OG, how quickly they've been up at midfield, immediately up for the 50s, and as well just falling off in the off-ball offense, grabbing those corner boosts, taking resources away from Dignitas, which has led to counterattacks like this, where everybody's getting stymied in the front of the net. A complete confusion across the board for Dig and a goal for OG.
It was confusing to watch it from JNAP's POV. He lets this one go. The first defender misses, and then he feints like he's going to pass it or shoot it, and then it's calm. Just bull-trues through the play, puts it home, and that last man froze it on the goal line.
Might it be another quick kickoff from Dignitas to at least alleviate some of the bleeding? No. Com able to again extend this play forward. He has been the X factor so far in Game 1, only the first of a best of 5. So again, Game 1s tend to show us which teams are coming out on the right foot, what others need to make adjustments. Not a whole lot other than that. Wins another 50, plays it low over Arsenal. Into the box, Noli through the corner, might have an angle on this, but instead tracks to the midfield. And again, he's going to scout on these counterattacks just to give extra information to the likes of JNAPs and Com, setting up in the 2-3 zone. Noli able to get through one. Zanil pokes it free. Zanil back to Com. Free ball into the corner. Arsenal on half a tank. We'll have to try to keep this one moving.
And Dignitas, they're spending some time down here, Spaceman, trying to find a way into that OG net. But again, you have 3 shots on Arsenal. That's all the shots you've seen from Dignitas. Not too many chances are very memorable from Dignitas. Maybe a chance here, but Evo can't get by the first man on the first challenge. And look at the space that OG gets after winning just a singular challenge and a pass back to himself. Nolly puts a weak shot on target with no boost, and that was the best he could do.
Evo juggling, who's been pretty quiet yesterday, though the series did favor Dignitas in the end. One factor of the offense that had been relatively shut out was on the backs of Arsenal and Zanil to really keep things moving, and Zanil quickly gets back involved.
Yeah, a player that you might look towards him to be kind of the X factor for Dignitas. Well, look at the speed, landing and immediately going back up, and just with a bit of boost as well to put that one on target. And Dignitas are in business here, down by 1, 31 seconds left.
They always make it close. They always bring it back just at the end of some of these games. A 2-goal lead's not safe for long against Dignitas. Arsenal loses the touch to Noli. Noli continuing, has a full tank. Backboard open, off the crossbar. Kicked away. JNAP's going to play it to the side. And once more, trying to get back to the midfield. It's OG doing a phenomenal job of controlling the pace right now.
And this is smart from Com. This is going to waste a lot of time. And he actually got up over the last man. Com, is it the signature shot? It is. Arsenal's going to put it away. Com, I did not think he was going to go all the way with it. But with no one back for Dignitas, that's the dagger.
Stealing pinch into a hat trick for Com. So again, when we criticize OG, we say we need more from this offense. Com takes it personally, and rightfully so. 4-2 with 8 to go. You have to think it's a Game 1 win for OG, and Com the reason why. Gets the proceedings going early, follows up with the dagger at the end, a hat trick for the young one, and a very strong showing in Game 1 from OG.
Yeah, great showing from OG, and this is the kind of thing that we've been alluding to a little bit. Hootie definitely touched on it a lot more, is OG has had some not so great results when you look at it on paper, but when you go back and you comb through the games, you realize, well, wait a minute, they've actually been playing a lot of the top teams very, very close, and you're seeing what happens when they play a team like Dignitas. A lot of control here. Dignitas do get 2 goals, and they shot 50%, but I think realistically, OG controlled a lot of this game.
Yeah, this was the Com show. I mean, across the board, he was everywhere on the field, and how quickly, Noli would kind of set up these long touches that Com could follow through on the touch. He was jumping into the lane, quickly getting in front of the defenders, able to either win the 50 or set up somebody like JNAPs to, again, work in the front of the box here. You even see it where JNAPs just right space, right time, calm, burning every bit of boost he has in that tank to, again, close out the play. And with that, OG take game one, some extra little highlights just for good measure. It was a kickoff goal to, again, bring things back from the brink around 2-1 for Dig. But from there, it was, again, the explosive offense from OG that just made everything a little bit more difficult. And once more, like, we get in these interesting situations, Corelli, where, all right, game one, OG looked really, really good. Can they keep that presence going? Can they keep that urgency moving through this series? That's going to be the big question. So far, though, in game one, Calm was the X factor. He really, really controlled most of the pitch. Dignitas have to find a way to kind of counter his speed, counter his presence. If they do, we got a series on our hands. But very strong showing from OG in game one.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna remake this lobby. I think we lost an admin. We have a soldier down on the production team, so we're gonna. I think we're gonna remake this and then hopefully get players back in and get the lobby reset. So we will be doing that momentarily. Spaceman. I think we've kind of said everything that you would want to say about OG, and I think for Dignitas, we've kind of pegged them to be a little inconsistent at times. Great team, and there's no doubt about it. I think the Dignitas roster are certainly good players and have a good team here. It's just finding that consistency, and OG's a great team, a great barometer, I think, for any team to figure out what you're really made of. So for Dignitas, if they can get things going here against OG, you drop the first game. Now you know what you're up against. See if you can turn things around.
It very much feels like this is a must-win week for OG, at least just in the standings-wise for this tournament. The Shift Summer League will come to a close pretty quickly, and we're already starting to see some teams qualify for the playoff bracket over in Europe. You have Oxygen at 11-1 if memory serves, Corelli. So, like, we're already seeing teams lock themselves into playing in the playoff bracket, playing for their share of first place, $9,000, which is nothing to shake at, nothing to sneeze at for a couple of weeks of Rocket League. But everybody else, I mean, this is do or die for a lot of teams, and there's so much money on the line in this tournament. You would hope that urgency can be put into the right mentality for different teams in this tournament. Because look, even though some of these squads are representing NA at Worlds, like, this is still a good chunk of change and a good way to represent the offseason. There's a lot on the line here, not just bragging rights, but some serious money.
Oh, definitely. I mean, look, any opportunity to play, I think, is something that everyone should be appreciative of, from the players all the way up to even us, Spaceman. So we love seeing competition, and you're right. The competition is certainly fierce here in North America. Just to give some context here that maybe we haven't mentioned, Dignitas sitting at 5-4 right now, while OG 2-7. So there's a little bit of a difference between these guys, but ultimately OG winning helps their case. They are on the fringe of not making it out of the hole they have dug themselves at, sitting at 2-7. It would take, they don't need help from other teams right now, but they do need to win out a lot of these games to have a good shot of finishing in that top 6.
Yeah, the best possible result right now for OG moving forward is not just wins, but like 3-0s would be excellent, because we do have head-to-heads that will count. So if you're going to play a tiebreaker, you would hope that it doesn't come down to, man, we have a 13-12 map count when it could have been 13-11. That would have pushed us into the money. Very much hoping, if you're an OG fan today, that they kind of handle all their series relatively quickly. So far, game one was a very positive sign of things to come, but it does come down to the execution. They take game one. We're still waiting for the rest of the best of 5 to get underway. Thank you guys so much for your patience. All of Dignitas seem to have joined the lobby. So with that, we are almost ready to go. And with that, Corelli, game one, just a sign of game ones being game ones. Is it more to come from OG? What do you see on the horizon for this best of 5?
Well, I said 5 in our predictions, so I'm going to stand by that. I think that it is going to go 5. I don't think that Dignitas are just going to roll over here and just allow OG to take control. And I don't think this was a complete blowout by any means from OG, but they certainly controlled a lot of the game. That's a little scary for Dignitas. Is in series that we've seen before, I don't think that Dignitas has shown too many times that they've been able to battle back when they've gone down, especially against a team that likes to control the pace of play and the possession like OG.
With that, we're ready to get into game number 2. All players have given the A-OK, so the server's good to go. And with that, Corelli, now we can start to really find out what this series is made of, right? Because OG come out guns blazing. It was Calm who really stepped up in game 1 as a hat trick to, I believe he shot 3 goals on 5 from the field. Like, he was everywhere offensively, putting so much pressure on the Dignitas where it felt like the defense just kind of had to hold on for dear life. Then when they escaped, there wasn't too many opportunities for Dignitas to kind of build their counterattack downfield one after the other. It was very reliant upon the momentum they gained from the opening kickoff goal once they responded to the pressure from OG, and then really hoping that like Evo or Zanil was able to escape through a pocket, get upfield, and kind of post up, wait for a rebound, catch, shoot. That is the Dignitas we expect at times, but OG's pressure seemed to get to Dignitas a little bit too much. I hope that Dig are able to turn things around. If you're liking what you're seeing here in chat, you can let us know by following all the channels available for Shift Rocket League. Let us know on Twitter. Make sure you follow the channel here. And you can find out more about the bracket currently happening over on Liquipedia for the North American side of things. Europe just concluded today. That's enough with the Yapathon. Let's get into game number 2, Corelli. I want to see where this one goes. OG taking the opening game.
Shout out, chat.
Shout out, chat.
You guys. You guys showing
That's
up.
right.
Appreciate you. And we're going to show up now and put on a show, or at least OG and Dignitas are. Spaceman and I are going to pretend like we know what we're talking about.
We're just going to yap.
We're just going to yap. That's what we do.
Right.
Game 2. We got things sorted out. The admin's back in. We revived him. We got the defibrillator out, and he's
That's
back.
right.
So now, OG trying to double up on their series score while Dignitas trying to battle back, and they're coming out with some fervor as Evo has some space. Trying to make it work, but it's Nolly. Sneaky. And the pass to Calm. It's clinical from OG. That is exactly how you draw it up.
You could see it from a mile away. Evo has nowhere to go with this ball. Noli works through a body block, and Zanil just caught in no man's land. That is a perfect play downfield from OG, and an even better pass. 1, 2, 3. Everybody gets a touch. 1-0 to OG.
Those are the types of plays that I was kind of alluding to earlier. That's the type of goal that you're going to see from OG quite a bit there. They tried to pitch that one towards the net as well. It's on the ground. It's just quick finding each other in the lane between defenders. It's nothing flashy, but it's absolutely effective.
And just slicing through the space, understanding exactly where they want to be, very decisive. Again, the kind of credits we were giving to some of the top teams in this tournament could be said in similar fashion to OG. Very decisive where they want to be at the field, picking their spots, and even here on low boost, Noli being an X factor and stepping up on the goal line.
Oh, and Zanil probably should have read that one a little bit better, but Noli putting that one across the box and cleanly setting up his team again. He's got 2 assists. Comp's got 2 goals on 2 shots. It's a perfect game so far from OG.
JNap's deadly. Close quarters, able to get it net side. Noli from the corner will leave it for Com. Com back to Noli.
Oh, they're passing.
Looking for JNaps. And they look much more comfortable in the offensive third here, Corelli.
Yeah, this is very scary. Very scary proposition for Dignitas now. OG are moving the ball with crazy form, and they're making it look easy through their defense. And for Dignitas, they're not really cutting off the lanes. It's for OG, they have been able to cut through the defense quite a bit. And I think for Dignitas, they're pretty lucky that they're only sitting down 2 goals.
Nobody's challenging, and they don't really have the boost to be able to do so, but how many times is it Noli kind of taking a defender off the lane, taking somebody out of the play where JNaps now has so much space on the sidewall to work? All of that aerial game coming back into the fingertips of OG. Com was looking for Noli. Naps will take his time with this one. Evo will challenge and win it. Arsenal, respectively, underneath. Noli. Ooh, everybody kind of missing. It's a tough ball to read. The bounce wasn't great. Arsenal will feed it back. And Noli once more will just get in the way of things.
Dignitas looking for some sign of control in their attacking third. If you notice, just in the last 20 seconds, yes, Dignitas spending some time here, but I mean, have generated 0 shots, haven't really shown any attack that's directly towards the net. It's a lot of lateral movement. And look at the counter now from OG. A 3-0 scoreline, and Nolly with his 3rd assist, Com with his hat trick. These 2 guys have been linking up all game.
You can only flood the other side of the field so much. You can only crash so often. At some point, one player will escape, that player being Com. He will get downfield, he will have boost, and it takes one clear to make you think twice about pushing all your numbers up. And once more, Com has been everywhere on the field. Noli looking for the double. But this assault that OG are bringing into this series, a far cry from the woes of yesterday, from the week before. And Dignitas do not have an answer right now.
And they've got half a game to find that answer, to figure out the equation. But you look at the stats, it's only 2 shots generated on the Dignitas side. And they just can't hang on to the ball. It's really the issue. At OG, if they have a chance downfield, it's not just 1, it's 2, sometimes 3 opportunities.
Oh, man.
And maybe it's the solo plays that Dignitas are going to have to live off of, but even then, not finding that, certainly not generating him at a consistent level.
Well, OG certainly seem to be making their reads a lot more cleanly than the last couple times we've seen them on mainstream. They are in the spots, especially when it comes to some of the more reactive plays against Dignitas's touches. JNaps, just a moment ago, set up on the sidewall, was able to meet the rebound and throw it downfield. Noli going to be there. He's going to look for JNaps. Nope, never mind. We're going to play into the back corner and try to slow things down to a crawl because Dig have not proven at this moment to be able to handle the pressure through the corner. And even there, I mean, you got Noli bringing it back towards his own side, still hanging in the backline, Corelli. But Dignitas have no touch of the ball, they have no control of the ball, and they're just letting it ricochet through their own side of the field, not really building any momentum upfield.
There's Arsenal trying to build that momentum by himself. This is a good little fake. Zanil got to put this one away. It's right at Nolly. Follow-up off the crossbar. And another follow-up from Zanil. And another from Evo. Everyone's trying to push this one through from Dignitas. And OG put up 8 saves to ensure a clean slate.
It's a solo effort. No need to send the house. Noli and JNaps can stay back as long as Calm is upfield, causing problems and 1v2ing his way towards the net. Noli going to hang at the midfield. No need to send numbers if you don't have to. Noli gets a touch. But again, chaos through the corner. How do you corral this possession? It doesn't look like it's going to happen. Dignitas just trying to hold on to the ball. Arsenal high off the backboard, looking for the double. Zanil, far post, and finds it finally. Dignitas have a sign of life.
Well, a well-earned goal here from Dignitas. One that they catch OG out on the counterattack. Nolly can't get the touch. Tries to go in and out back on the floor. And almost got to that shot. Zanil well placed. Put that one on the right side. And finally, 10 shots it took for Dignitas, but they break through.
A deep breath from Dig. Now, how do they respond off the kickoff? Don't have a lot of time to work with here in game 2. Series lead for OG, trying to build on it. Would be a 2-0 lead at that. Taken away by Arsenal. Got Zanil with a full tank. Got to invest this properly. Zanil. Oh my God, Zanil. Yeah, that's one way to do it, man.
We talked about the importance of solo plays, and what a great first touch. Nothing off the ceiling either. Tough read for the last man, and a double tap for Zanil. Well, it was easy enough for him, and Dignitas are now in business with 20 seconds left.
Well, that's top 5. I'm going to tell you right now. JNaps off the kickoff. Possession to Dig. Evo has Arsenal in the wing. Evo holding the reset. Evo working underneath. Calm will punch it away, but gets demoed. Power play here for Dig. Into the center of the box. Noli kicked away. Arsenal picking up possession. Ricochet to the midfield. Evo going to have to race this down on his feet. Excuse me, Evo from the side wall. Calm tracking. Still alive. Zanil trying to catch it. Ball still for anybody's possession. And caught by Arsenal.
Zanil's got some boost, and he's got Evo with a full tank, but he can't get it over. He got some help. Evo's going to keep this one up. Evo looking for space. He got 2 to go, and a second touch. This could be it for Dig. The shot goes wide, and it drops down. What was that? 15, 20 extra seconds, and Dignitas came oh so close to finding their equalizer.
So close, but not close enough. 0 seconds is tough for the best of the best. They got almost to the goal line, but at the end, again, 3 goals, 5 saves, 3 shots for Calm. Noli with 3 assists. JNaps with 2 saves on 3 from the field. Again, everybody's involved, but this has been the Calm special in the first 2 games, Corelli. This has just been one player dominating the pace of play, dominating the physical game on the field, kind of really conducting where these possessions go. And we saw it about 2 minutes left in this game where Noli was taking some challenges at the midfield. I mean, OG were throwing the ball into the corner of Dignitas and then falling back and waiting for Dig to do something. Dig just did not have an answer for so much of this game.
Yeah, it was about a good 4 minutes from OG here. That last minute, though, it really started to feel like Dignitas found their footing, found their confidence maybe, or just figured out OG, or maybe OG took their foot off the gas, one of those. Yeah. And for Dignitas, then they started finding their offense again, and that's very scary for OG. I'm curious how this game starts, especially 10 seconds after the kickoff when players start to settle in the rotation, how Dignitas keeps that momentum from the last 20, 40 seconds of the previous game. Because if they can keep that going, this is a game they can take.
You know, I think back to the interview we had yesterday with Raw Greg over at RMC, and he talked about back on Optic Gaming, how that roster was really great late in series, but they couldn't put their foot on the gas in the beginning. And then it's a vice versa now over with LG/RMC. They're really great early, but trying to keep that pressure up late has been a problem. You could say the same thing about OG. It's like now that they have the pressure, now that they have their foot on the gas in the beginning of the series, their one Achilles heel this season seems to have been just closing it out, just keeping that pressure up. Going into game 3, again, your best results today for OG are sweeps. Not only helping in the head-to-head, but helping just keep some rhythm alive for this team, some confidence. Com has 7 goals in 3 games.
Oh, Arsenal missed the boost. I mean, Zanil forcing the flick is what he's supposed to do there, and Arsenal went to his back right corner, and he drove wide around the boost. And Zanil on the 4 says, hey, where's my backup? And with Arsenal not there, means a free net for OG to shoot on.
No, not another. Zanil had to quickly jump out, and now back through the midfield with low boost. Arsenal cleared off the play. Power play for OG, and they will take advantage of it, flying right into the line of fire. It's Com from the ceiling, looking for the challenge, but taking it laterally. Nice play by Evo to shut down. Would have been an aggressive push from Com.
Such a shame for Dignitas to give up a goal like that. And now OG back in the driver's seat. See if Dig can get something going. I look towards a guy like Arsenal to maybe electrify his team, whether that's just in the comms or, of course, in his own play. Dignitas still to yet to generate their own shot yet.
Oh, good quality effort from Com, but pretty easy read from Evo. This should be Dignitas' opportunity to handle this possession. They just miss it again through the corner. J-Naps going far post with it, leaves it out to Com on a bit of a thread. Low boost here for Dig. They'll really have to start making some of these jumps later than they'd like because they don't have the resources to boot. Com right back on the net. Nice job by Evo playing patiently on the goal line.
His 3rd save as well. Evo locking things down for Dig as much as he can. And OG maybe ramping back up. They're on their 7th shot. Maybe their 8th looming to the backboard. Com getting a sneaky touch that I think Nolly just didn't trust. I don't think he realized how free that touch could have been. Or maybe he thought Dignitas had the read all along. You're 2 minutes in. Dignitas hasn't even registered their first shot, and this one almost catching Zanil out, but it's straight over to J-Naps, who's going to play it slow and try and play through the challenges. And Dignitas, great rotation to get back in time.
Arsenal doesn't look like he's as comfortable on the field as maybe we're used to seeing him. I think he just crossed 40 points, and we're 2 minutes in to game 3 here. He has not been a factor offensively. Com with a goal on 3 shots already. The dude has 7 in 3 games. It's unreal. He's playing out of his mind. Noli looking for the redirect. Not the greatest touch. Com following suit. Everybody getting a couple of touches on this one. J-Naps, little bait. Right back up the gut. And yet again, it's free into the corner where OG might be able to find some success. The help with the demo. And a power play here for OG. And an open net as well. J-Naps will crash. And it's 2-0.
Yeah, great demo to open up that back wall. And that's what they needed. Nolly, if it's not Com, it's Nolly on this team. And Com was there to back him, Nolly up on the pass, and finding J-Naps to the back post means OG doubles up their lead. And right now, looking like they want to take this series.
We haven't seen too many sweeps here on main. I don't think we've even seen one, if memory serves. We did actually G2 versus Rebellion to start off day 1 of week 1, but after that, we've had one more Dig against Pirates on a boat. So only 2 sweeps on mainstream. Maybe this is the 3rd. It'd be a hell of a way to get things going. J-Naps finds the 2nd in this game, and it just feels like all signs are pointing OG.
Yeah, you might start to think that maybe Dignitas is trying to throw everything at it just to make something happen. But this was the danger of, I think, walking into a series like this. You look at OG and they say, oh, well, they're 2-7. They're not playing very well at all. But again, it's that context of how they've lost. And that's kind of been the whole season for OG. They've been counted out in many of their series. I've been guilty of that as well. I've learned from those mistakes, Spaceman. I certainly have through RLCS. A 2-7 record does not describe how OG's been this series, in this league. I don't know what's happening anymore, by the way.
That's an
Players
interesting
are
rule
locked
one.
up.
Oh, no.
Nolly still makes the save. Dignitas, maybe their best look of the game, and they still couldn't put it away.
You got to score here. I mean, granted, you're 2-7. Yes, you've learned from your mistakes. There's no way they score off that. You've learned from your mistakes, I think, if you're OG to an extent. But, you know, again, for a team that seemed to be improving in all the right different angles, it was surprising that they have such a slow start to this tournament. This is the OG we expect, kind of the hyper-aggressive, the perfectly placed OG, not the fanciest, not fancy like Arsenal, but still good enough. 1:03 on the clock, and finally Dignitas find a goal from Arsenal's back touch.
I really like this play from Arsenal because he acts like he's going for the bump on Nolly, and then instead just cuts in front of him, parks right in front of him, says, okay, hit me. I'm your point man now. And the follow-up was certainly there from Evo. And now Dignitas, they have an opportunity. They've got a minute left on the clock. That's 20% of the game. You're down by 2. It's not impossible here, but with the way OG's playing, it's going to be tough.
And as long as Noli tries to burn time in the corner or JNaps holds on to this ball, less and less time on the clock for Dig to find their second. They need it within the next 10 seconds or so for this to become viable. Back into the hands of OG. Arsenal not going to get there. JNaps on nothing. Still causing problems through the midfield. Bumped off the play. Even when players start to get set up, Corelli, they're getting chipped off their rotation. And it makes it more difficult for Dignitas to set up in space. Off the crossbar. Com can't put it away. Was looking for his, second, third hat trick in this series. 13 to go, and it looks like it's a sweep.
Yeah, 14 shots from OG, and time has just ran out. OG in possession in the final third. It gets pinched away, but it still drops out to Com. The follow-up's there. OG trying to put a cap on this one, but it was all OG in the end. Dignitas just couldn't find the back of the net. GG's comes out, and OG a 3-0 sweep over Dig.
The best possible start for OG this week, day 2, to bounce back from a 2-7 record, was to come out in a sweep against Dignitas, one of the teams that's been hovering through the mid-pack of this tournament against OG, sitting near the bottom. Com, 7 goals in 3 games. He is, without a doubt, the MVP of this series and really the catalyst on all sides of the ball. It just seemed like once he got going, they had complete control in the orange zone for the majority of the series.
And I think everyone on OG played really well in this series. I want to point out Nolly as well. He did great in the physical game. A couple of their goals came from him opening up space. Again, you kind of look towards Com to be that man, but Nolly definitely right behind him. And I think that OG, this is the type of game they want, they expect when they go up against their opponents. And it's a great, like you said, great way to start off the day, especially your first match of the day when you know you got at least 2 more or exactly 2 more on the day. You start off on the right foot, and that's important.
First match of the day, and again, map count does matter for a little bit here. So for OG going into this, they understood the assignment. They knew that they had to step up in this series, but more importantly, every win matters. Every single map you get that you don't relinquish, we don't want to see another Game 5 from OG just because it could hurt them in the head-to-head should they try to qualify for the money. Top 6 is where they want to be. This is a good way to start that process. Hats off to them. And again, a series where I put a lot of pressure on them going in. I say things got to change. You've got to show us that you're the OG that have been fixing their mistakes around March, April this year, and not the OG of the past couple weeks. This is the cleanest OG have looked maybe the entire tournament, and it just looked like they were playing with confidence again. Something that felt like maybe was missing from their game. But Corelli, these 3 players are experts. They have LAN experience. They have World Championship experience. This is a kind of a baseline that they should be working from.
You would hope that this is the baseline for OG. And listen, for a Hoodie, he's smart. He's a smart man. He flip-flopped on the desk,
Right.
but if you're going to flip-flop, you might as well be right. And at least he was here.
I sure was.
Is he here? Oh, okay, he is here.
It took me a moment there. Yeah, I mean, listen, I would love to pretend that I knew exactly what's going on. But, I mean, all of us know, and all of you at home watching, we know these things can go either way. It just depends on who shows up and plays well on today. And today, OG did exactly that. Com was just an absolute menace. I mean, he was doing so much for that team, whether it's assist, whether it's up the field disrupting, and, of course, the striking. Like you said, Spaceman, so many goals throughout that series. And you guys, you mentioned it throughout the call. It's important to start getting those 3-0s. They've had so many Game 5s, and unfortunately, some of them, or majority of them, have not gone their way, digging a deeper and deeper hole with that game differential, and that will come back to bite them later in the season. So a great start here in the second half of Shift Summer League for OG. I'm excited to see if they can continue rolling on. But for Dignitas, they're going to have to figure something out. It's too up and down right now. And the reality is that is a newer team composition. So it's not the end of the world. It's not the most unexpected result. But they've got to figure something out, and they got to get it working quick because the end of the season is closing in quick. Let me update everyone on what's going on around us. We have a 3-1 victory for Space Station over RMC. We have a 3-0 victory for G2 over Incorrect. Of course, the 3-0 sweep here. We have a 3-1 victory for Rebellion over Fun and a 3-0 victory for Gen G over Poab. Not not really too much to talk about there. The expected results, I think, across the board, really.
Yeah. I mean, we saw RMC beat Space Station in 5 yesterday, so now they dropped 3-1 to them, so they kind of trade some blows there. But you're right. I mean, G2 3-0ing incorrect, expected. Rebellion dropping a game to Fun. Those boys on Fun, they may be at the bottom of the standing. I know we haven't talked about them too much, but they are certainly not an easy team to get over, and they make you work for it. And some great young talent on that team getting some experience here in Shift Summer League. But Gen G getting that 3 over Pirates on a Boat, again, expected. And for the teams that are sitting at the top of league play right now, for the most part, are getting the job done.
They sure are. We're going to have Nolly join us for a word in just a moment. I think we're getting that all set up, so we'll talk with him and chat with him about the series and Shift Summer League in a moment. One of the things that I'm curious to ask about is he is one of the few players that has experienced league play in the past. So I'm excited to get his take between the two. In fact, we've got him here now. Nolly, congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking some time to chat with me today. So the first thing that I want to know is what is you guys, as a team that is attending Worlds, I know we've still got some time between now and then, what is you guys' approach to this Shift Summer League? Is this something where you're just kind of staying the course, fine-tuning what you already do? Are you guys experimenting at all to maybe look for some new stuff to bring to the table? What is you guys' approach to this league play?
I mean, since it's in place of our scrims every Tuesday and Wednesday, we're trying to approach it the same way we do them. You know, we come into it, we give it our all. Until the ball goes down, so that's our main thing. But no, we're not really experimenting too much. We're still trying things out. I think teams throughout the season always try things out and try and make stuff work when it isn't always as simple. Yeah, like we're just treating it how we do scrims.
Gotcha. We've got 5 Game 5 losses throughout this league play. So I know that this 3-7 series count it doesn't tell the full picture, but I'm curious, have you guys talked about that? What do you think it is with those Game 5s and closing out those series?
I'll be honest, I'm not sure what it is. I mean, I think that's something we're going to speak about as a team.
Sure.
We haven't done it yet since it's going straight into another day. We don't want to overload ourselves with stuff that isn't a thing. Like people can lose a few Game 5s and think they've got no ice. For us, it's like, okay, it's a 1 day thing, it's a 2 day thing. Like it happens. Like we can't always be perfect, but we've made both majors, we've made worlds. We're happy. We're grateful to be where we are, despite still wanting more. So we're keeping ourselves kind of leveled out.
I love that hunger and that drive. Well, you're in a unique position here as one of the players that has experienced league play in the past.
Yep.
And now, obviously, we're getting a smaller taste of it here. It's not necessarily RLCS, but it is league play. And I want to know your opinions about league play versus the open system. Is there one that you prefer? Does it really matter to you? What are your thoughts on league play?
I'm a fan of league play. I enjoy it. I think in all traditional sports, league play is a thing, right? Like it's normal.
Yeah.
You know what to expect. You know who you play against. There's a lot more structure to it. When you've got a life, like it's kind of hard to give you all to the game when it's open season, because there's kids who are going to be playing 160 hours past 2 weeks. So that's always hard. But league play in the past, it was incredible, man. Like I remember playing it and taking Fridays off school, just to get excited for it and be prepared.
Yeah.
It doesn't show, all the ups and downs of what old league play was, since this isn't, it's not RLCS. I don't think everybody's with the real rosters and feeling good. But to give a glimpse of some structure, you have to be there for a few hours every day for these 2 days. I like it. Yeah, I think it's fun, and I'm hoping that we can turn it around now.
Well, a small question on that. Does it change you guys' preparation at all? Because like you said, one of the differences with league play versus the open system is who your 3 matches are today, whereas you roll into a Swiss Friday and you've got no clue who you're going to play. So does that change you guys' approach at all, prepping for these days?
No, not necessarily for us. I think the 3 of us, as much as people discredit us, we are a lot better than the majority of teams in this. Maybe besides G2, Gen G, and then for Space Station it can go back and forth.
Yeah.
So no, I think it's like, we don't know who we're playing, but the way Swiss is, you're going to play those 3 games on the day or potentially more. So we're kind of used to that longevity of playing and not getting tired quickly. So no, I don't think there's too much of a difference between the two, and I think our approach to either is the exact same.
That makes sense. Well, Nolly, thank you for taking some time to chat with me. Congrats on the 3-0 sweep today. Best of luck with your matches moving forward. We are going to take a short break, and then we'll be back with some more Shift Summer League.
filled with emotions. Who knew I needed a savior? Be there when I'm in danger. Reel me in when I'm shutting all my doors and locking myself in.
Welcome back, folks. We've got Shift Summer League week number 2 underway. We are past the halfway point. We've talked about it at the top of the show. It is time to get serious. These playoff spots are important. Only the top 6 make it to the playoff. We have Queen Spaceman with us.
That's right.
How are you feeling? How are you feeling for this?
I feel good, man.
This Gen G Space Station series, Spaceman. It's going to be a banger.
Oh, dude, it's like squeezing the blood out of my head. I'm feeling good, man. I'm really excited for Gen G's bounce back. That's kind of where I'm at now in my propaganda campaign for Gen G. I was really impressed with what they did yesterday. I was really happy how Chronic decided that he wanted to essentially lead the playbook for COM today. Chronic was the MVP of Gen G yesterday. He had like 4 goals in game 1. He was the #1 scorer on their squad. And it seemed like the defensive lapses that Gen G were making were no longer a problem when Chronic was really on the ball upfield. Yes, apparently Jack scored in his own net. Wasn't really his fault, and they went to 5. But still, I'm very, very impressed with Gen G have been able to do. So I'm feeling good about this series. Excited.
I did enjoy hearing in the interview Jack talked about that. Really did kind of throw their momentum for a loop. You know, he said that it took him a moment to kind of shake that. And it's not so much that it's an own goal. It's more, it was just like out of his control, right? Some of those silly things happen. It bounced off the post. You're not ready for it. And then boom, there it is in your net. But Corelli, I am curious. I think it's fair to say that Gen G may be the favorite, even if it's just by a slight edge. But I want to know, for Space Station to grab this victory, who do you think is the key piece for Space Station if they're going to take this dub over Gen G?
So I feel like the answer to this is always going to be LJ, but I do think, and for obvious reasons, if you've watched a single second of Space Station or a single second of LJ, you know why. He's a very strong attacking player, but he's also a player that makes a lot of right decisions on both sides of the field. I actually feel like a big component of the Space Station playstyle is Chicago and Hawks are working together. Maybe not together directly, but a lot of times what we saw yesterday when they played against RMC, there was a lot of opportunity for Chicago and Hoxer to use space by themselves, use each other, without LJ being a part of the game. And that's really important because when you have a superstar player like LJ, who is so strong in the attacking third or just as an attacker, having that extra foundation of Chicago and Hoxer behind him just makes you all the better. So for Space Station yesterday, tough go against RMC. They got their revenge already. Taking down Gen G not only does themselves a favor here for the top spot in league play, but it helps out other teams like G2 as well to catch up to a team that I think has been doing pretty well so far at Gen G.
Well, let's do this. Corelli, I like that take. We'll see if Chicago and Hoxer can step up to the plate. Go ahead and lay down your prediction. What do you think is going to go down here in this Gen G Space Station series?
Listen, so far today, Gen G, they got the job done. They 3-0'd Pirates on a boat. That was expected. I think they took care of them pretty handily as well. Yeah, they did pretty much a couple of 2-goal games in there. For Space Station, though, they didn't look all that great yesterday when we saw from RMC. I think the win over RMC today means a lot more for them. I'm going to go with Space Station here, which I guess would be considered the upset. This is a team that's sitting comfortably, I think, top 3 right now in NA. They're in contention with Gen G and G2 for that top spot. This is the opportunity, at least, during this lull between Major to Worlds, for them to step up.
Spaceman, what are you thinking for the series?
Give me Gen G. I like what apparently Jack said in the interview yesterday. Even though they kind of got in their mental after that own goal, I think that this team's starting to turn things around really after a really slow, sluggish start. And Jack said, look, they're back to kind of playing as a team. They're back to kind of scrimming more often, and it seems like maybe it was just a war of attrition here for Gen G. They needed to get some of the rust off. And Chronic has continued to be a shining star of this offense, who still does not get enough credit. So if he just has a similar play style today, I think this team's going to go pretty far in this tournament. I think they're going to do just fine. I expect it to be close, though. I think we're probably going 5, but I'm going to give the nod to Gen G.
All right. Game 5. I think you guys are on the nail on the head there. I do think it's going to be back and forth. Corelli, I totally agree. Taking out RMC today, getting that revenge from yesterday is a big boon for Space Station. But I think I've got to go with Gen G. Their performance yesterday was so incredible, especially on the back of Chronic. And this is some smaller stuff, but you've got Chronic and First Killer winning a Community 2s tournament. You've got Abjack winning a Community 1s tournament. These guys are back. Like Spaceman said, they are here, they are grinding, they are serious, and they are looking to get back on track here in Shift Summer League as well. Yesterday, they kicked that thing off, and today I think they're going to continue to do just that. So give me Gen G. We've got 2-1. Corelli, another chance to be smug here after the series. Well, hey, listen, we've got enough yapping. The players are loaded. Let's get this thing underway. Gen G versus SSG.
Listen, we've waited many hours to see this matchup specifically. I waited all through the night. I was sat up in my bed, staring directly at the wall, just sleep maxing my way through this because Corelli, I am so excited that now we get to see SSG versus Gen G yet again. Gen G, who have a phenomenal result yesterday. Chronic, maybe the X factor for the offense. SSG have been working through game 5s. They've been working through high pressure moments to get to this spot. Massive matchup for the standings overall in North America. Let's get into it.
Yeah, big argument for this one to be the matchup of the day. The only other one that maybe you can consider is the G2 Rebellion match in the third round after this one. That could also be a very highlight-filled match as well. But the expectation, as I alluded to in my prediction, for Gen G, obviously I think the favorites, but these two teams are right behind each other, right next to each other. And right now, Gen G, well, they're putting a little separation between them and Space Station in game 1.
And watch, apparently Jack played off the crossbar, circle out of LJ's spot, back into the play. Chronic set it up perfectly, and Jack's not going to waste a lot of time putting it away. The captain getting the scoring going early for Gen G, and a nice response early on, and a great way to kind of start this game for Gen G.
Yeah, maybe a disaster start for SSG, who almost gave up yet another goal on the kickoff, because if the start like this for Gen G is any indication, it's going to be brutal for Space Station Gaming. Apparently, Jack making it so as a 2-0 lead.
And watch how Chronic just flutters with this boost, right? Catches it, immediately knows, hey, he has to set up for apparently Jack. Gets the call. Jack immediately flies directly through Hoxer's spot. And just like that, it's a 2-0 lead.
And I'm not going to make the exact same point I just said, but I will just quickly mention that
yeah.
not the way that I think Space Station wants to go into this series. They haven't even sniffed the attacking third. They're finally getting some touches here. And LJ, maybe a response backflip from apparently Jack is what Space Station needed, and they find their response.
Quality touch all the way around. Chicago to LJ. LJ knew exactly how he had to hit this ball. Okay. Get 2 from Gen G. You get a response from SSG. I mean, the goals have been what they are, and we're off the kickoff yet again. Jack hands it off to Chronic. Off the back wall. Right through the midfield. SSG shutting down another positive counterattack as Gen G try to work through their own corner.
You know, this game, if it was a boxing match, it was a quick 1-2 punch to the head from Gen G, but a jab from Space Station to push Gen G back, kind of stagger them for a second. You might see things start to level out here.
Boxer going for the bump. But First Killer will instead use his mechanics as he does so often to try to extend the play upfield. SSG not buying any of that. Hoxer sharply touched.
Whoa.
Chicago floater saved. LJ
Whoa.
second touch not going to be there. Chronic winning 250s back to back. Will play for the boost. Now what does he do? Over 1. Hoxer still gets a hand out in front, and apparently Jack will try to stabilize with this possession. But again, both teams showing a lot of resolve offensively once they start to move up with the ball. And another long clear for Gen G.
Oh man, that was a huge miss from Hoxer. Not even close to the touch, but now he's going to get it back. He's going to make me eat my words. And he puts that one on target. No, it's too high. Hoxer had an opportunity and couldn't put it on target, even after his flub on the ball. And now Chicago saving this one right before it goes in. And man, we are trading blows.
Yeah, no lull time in this game 1. No, hey, let's figure out where we're at. It's just wall-to-wall challenges every single time. Again, another long clear. Apparently Jack trying to get it behind LJ. Does so, but and again, the SSG offense still a little too strong at the moment to handle a lead for the moment. 1 goal apiece. Both teams trading blows back and forth. LJ loses the challenge. Hoxer able to slow it. Quality bump through the corner. And that one will go back to the other corner. With that, First Killer will get possession. So, Corelli, we haven't seen too many series on main where it's just been one side of the field, then the other, then back and forth. It's just straight up ping pong, but without the lulls that you usually see in the middle of a series.
And typically we've seen one team maybe play at this pace, but right now you're getting both teams playing at 100%, at least in the speed category. This one is, when we say back and forth, I mean, is literally moving up and down the field so quickly from side to side and then north-south as well. FK trying to drive this one through. And just when you think the offense is getting the upper hand, the defense comes crashing back. That's a big pick for Chronic off the crossbar. And everyone was rotating from Gen G, so no follow-up, at least immediately. Space Station trying to get this one out unscathed as First Killer. Crazy angle off the post and almost found it.
It just seems like some of these weird spots, whether it's at the midfield from Chronic or in the corner from First Killer, Gen G just feel like they can set up anywhere they want and decide, all right, we're going to try to rip a shot from here, play the rebound. SSG trying to throw numbers at this point. Doing a nice job being able to stabilize for the moment. 65 seconds to go. Gen G is trying to break out, and this is maybe the slowest play we've had all game.
Yeah, time certainly, I think, attributing to this play, but Chicago and SSG unrelenting. They're up to 7 shots to the 11 of Gen G. And with 45 seconds left, when it's all said and done here, Gen G could be able to just hold on to the lead that they built, but hold on, here comes Chicago, flip reset, and maybe not as much as he wanted on that one. As SSG have got to be thinking about the clock now. LJ, that's the second time he's got a double tap that's gone just wide of the net.
But you'll take those chances and tell LJ to keep shooting if that's the kind of look he's going for. Already has 1 goal in this game. SSG trying to work upfield now, looking for the equalizer as LJ grabs some corner. That's a phrase. Apparently Jack trying to break out. Huge win by Chicago. LJ crashing. Hoxer still in the lane, still fighting for possession. LJ, center of the box. Chicago had a shot. LJ pops it up, still catching it, and there's really not much you could do there, unfortunately, but GG's all around. Gen G survive an assault at the end from SSG, but that is a blistering game 1.
I am shocked that apparently Jack, on the last man on that goal line, left the challenge, didn't even go for the challenge, just kind of sat and was hoping maybe someone would come through and cut it out. That led to the extra pass from Space Station. They couldn't put it away, but that was the big opportunity. And like you had alluded to, Spaceman, for Space Station, LJ, he sits at the bottom of the leaderboard. He's got 1 goal on 3 shots and a save, but he was that close to a couple double taps that would have changed this game completely for Space Station. And that's the thing that I think Gen G have to take away from this is they got off to a hot start. They put Space Station in a hole. It was enough to keep them down there. But you got to know how close you were to having this game be at least tied up, if not letting it slip away.
Like yesterday, when First Killer is the lowest scoring player on Gen G, but he still has 3 saves and 4 shots. Not too bad, right? Chronic, 555, 2 assists, 4 saves, 5 shots. Didn't score a goal. Apparently, Jack, the only one at the moment for Gen G in this series, has been able to put up some points. But Chronic leading the charge offensively for the team, assisting, saving defensively. I mean, he is the highest scoring player on Gen G, the MVP of match 1. Again, Corelli, we get into a situation where it's like when Chronic is really coming into his own, leading the charge for this squad, both on one side of the ball and defensively, he is the X factor for this team. It feels like their offense starts to speed up. They start to get their spots a little bit more quickly. They start to feel like they can take some risks at midfield. Chronic is continuing to be the big standout for Gen G in this tournament.
And, we go back to the heat check at the beginning of the pre-show, and he's been spot on with Chronic. And maybe he might have to add LJ to the list as he finally producing early for Space Station. And it was Hoxer that was trying to set it up initially, but it was Chicago on the follow-up. The challenge was perfect. It forced it to the midfield, and LJ lying in wait. He'll put it home in the first 15 seconds. Hard to Space
as
Station.
crazy as some of the angles were in game 1 for LJ, it still felt like he was a midfield merchant. He just knew exactly where to be and how to rip the shot. Able to finally put it away for the first goal here for SSG. A great response there as well for the boys who clearly were working overtime to shut down the Gen G defense, and the Gen G defense was not relinquishing their spot at all. Under Chicago, plays it perfectly. Great recognition from Genji through the midfield. Jack clears it to Chronic. Bumped off by Kago. Hoxer, little floater. Downfield disaster. And a perfect spot.
And this is the setup and the plays that I've been talking about. If it's not LJ, it has to be Chicago and Hoxer working together. That is perfect with Hoxer poaching that back wall and Chicago with the setup. It's a 2-0 lead for Space Station.
Like swatting a flyaway, just a little slap into the net. Genji now trying to find a response. SG have woken up here at game 2. Creativity's been there in the offense. Apparently Jack in a foot race to the ball. Possession back to LJ. Avoids a bump. First killer. Trying to play the double. It careens around the crossbar. Centered back out as Genji will send more numbers at this. Can't blame him. Long clear from Chicago and a necessary one.
Now for Genji, you're kind of feeling how Space Station did in game 1, where you go down early and by 2 goals. You got 3 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock. You've got some work to do. Can't fall into the same trap of what SSG did, where it didn't really feel like they were making progress until that final minute or so. They made a big push when they couldn't break through, but they had that opportunity. You'd love to get one back early with plenty of time left on the clock.
If you're SSG, you can spread here. You picked up a demo at the midfield. You grab some boost as well. Take your time through these rotations. You don't need to start pressing on challenge after challenge. Hoxer, plenty of boost to win it. Chronic, right at the net. Double save from Hoxer and LJ to keep it out. And Chicago will clear it downfield. Another instance where, again, it seems like SSG are kind of taking their time defensively, watching the Genji offense start to spread out, but always there to make the save.
And for Space Station, I think they're happy just to let this one off the clock. That's a great little flick on, and nobody connected from Genji space here for Chicago. He gives it over to Hoxer again in front of the box and directly at the net, and the defense had no
Hoxer
answer.
got bumped, and he recovers right back in front of the goal line. I mean, how do you stop that? You're not expecting the pass to come. You think, all right, if it's a possibility, surely Hawks are not going to be able to thread this around to the left post. But you say that, and then there he goes. You said it, Corelli. You needed Hawks or Chicago to really step up if it's not going to be LJ. Both of them have been involved in back-to-back goals. It's clearly been working.
And you've got LJ putting away the opening goal, 1 for 1 in his shooting, 100% for Space Station. So you're getting your cake and you're eating it right now. Your superstar playing well, and Hoxer and Chicago linking up and finding each other. It's been a perfect game from Space Station so far.
Some of these close quarter passes that Genji have not been able to get out of. I guess that's the sentence we're going to go with, as LJ will try to give to Hoxer once more. Two men will commit from Genji, and getting dunked on. Hoxer tried to put it away. LJ for the follow-up, but kind of the point I was getting back to was, these close quarters engagements on the goal line, these quick passes that really shorten the length between the field for the offensive SSG. Genji have not been able to respond to it. They have not been ready for it defensively. And if you're SSG, you just got to keep that in motion, in rotation.
And like we keep saying, I mean, they are just running out the clock perfectly. I've been watching Hoxer. He has just been zooming around the field. He's either chasing players or he's posturing himself for a pass. And you've seen, oh my goodness, oh my gosh. First killer. I've been talking about SSG a little too much, and he's just carried this one across the field. Nobody put a hand up. Chicago, I think he got caught on the crossbar somehow. His wheels fell off, and it spun him around, which meant first killer had a free double tap.
We've been waiting for FK to kind of break things open in this series. It was relatively quiet yesterday. Doesn't have to do a whole lot when apparently Jack and Chronic are leading the charge offensively, but one of the greatest talents in North American Rocket League started to get more involved. A handoff into a Brezzy, into a drop down. Everybody getting a look. Genji trying again, first killer towards the crossbar. Apparently Jack. Hoxer will take it away. And back down to LJ.
Some good looks from Genji. Couple of shots that at least tested the man in net, made him do something about it. LJ is going to barrel this one through. It doesn't matter if there's someone in the net. LJ's making sure it'll
Genji
drop.
tag game 1, and it seems like SSG will respond in game 2 because it has been the LJ and Hoxer show. Chicago with a couple of assists. But the offensive SSG have not been slowed down. and they are as creative as ever.
Yeah, 40 seconds left. It's tough for Gen G. You know, despite putting up 9 shots in this game, you're only coming up with a single goal.
Oh, man.
And I think it's just credit for over the space station. They have been looking so good. Hoxer now scoring his hat trick. He and LJ have just been phenoms in game 2. Chicago with 3 assists as well. Means everyone's involved from space station. And that's a very dangerous proposition for Gen G.
Hoxer shooting 75% from the field. Just casually. LJ bullying him away. Hoxer, no, Chicago, I lied. He's looking for the 6. We're getting close to Brazil territory, but this is actually one of the higher score counts we've had on the mainstream here for the SSL. 5-1 at the moment. Chicago looking for the 6. Reset. Right up the gut. Denied. First killer. Misses the touch. Okay. Signs of life for Gen G a couple of times in this game, but I mean a complete domination by Chicago and Hoxer all throughout. It was not close from the start. It was not close in the finish. The best response possible from SSG.
Yeah, that was a great game from SSG, and one that I think is kind of the expectation, especially when they go up against big teams, is you just get everyone involved, and that was kind of the crux of what I was saying earlier was in my prediction. It just feels like if Space Station can get players like Hoxer and Chicago going, which it's not like they haven't been, they've been great, but when you get that in tandem with the LJ pairing, that's where things get really scary for other teams, and I think Gen G got a little taste of that here in game 2.
So we've seen the litmus test for Gen G in game 1. We saw how the offense was able to explode because of Chronic's presence. 227 on the board in game 2. First killer stepped up a bit, a goal, 3 saves, 3 shots, but it was the creativity of the offense from SSG Corelli that really did Gen G in this game. Hoxer and Chicago specifically, like downfield, able to find those long clears that then they convert into goal line touches, being able to shorten the length between the passes and really chip away at the defense of Gen G. Many times Gen G were ready for a look, ready for a shot, ready for an attempt, and it just seems like SSG had a better idea of how they wanted to break down the defense. So if they can keep that going in game 3, that's another factor that Gen G will have to contend with.
Yeah, and we talked about how the previous game would start. We got our answer with how Space Station played. I think now you kind of look towards Gen G. Will they have a better start and maybe one more akin to game 1?
Only one way to find out. Off the kickoff into game 3, second series of the day. If you're just joining us, welcome into the SSL. This is week 2, day 2. A lot of teams fighting for their right to stay in the playoff bracket, to work back into the money. Other teams trying to avoid being knocked out of the tournament. Still a couple of matches and days of action to go, but standings matter and games do as well. Chicago through the corner, able to clear it with the help on a pinch. Apparently Jack will easily take this away. Gives it actually right back to SSG to pass over to LJ, pulling it laterally, and the SSG offense showing you exactly what they want to do early on.
Right back to work, in my opinion, for Space Station. And for Gen G, I think a lot of it does come down to holding the midfield line a little bit stronger. You have to make Space Station work for it more than just in the final third. You have to start that line a little bit higher up. And they have skipped that line, and LJ has found the angle, but it's Chronic on the save. That's the scary part, is those long-range passes. They have been coaching that back wall. I mentioned it before. Nobody from Gen G have caught on to it. They're not picking up that man. That seems to be cherry-picking.
As much of a superstar as First Killer is, LJ is as explosive, but Chicago gets lucky. You talked about working more at the midfield. You got First Killer crashing in, kind of gives an errant touch, but it was a decent challenge. Chicago, however, right place, right time. It says, hey, I'll just poke this downfield, and that's probably rolling in, and it does just that.
Yeah, I think FK wanted that one to kind of roll up and away from the play instead of bounce back out to the oncoming player. So a bit of a poor touch. Apparently Jack was backwards as well. He couldn't do much about it. And here's the SSG. I think Chicago wanted to play that one back to LJ. SSG would love to build on this lead if they can, and they've been abusing the back wall. They've been using long-range clears, or rather passes, to ensure their next man can pick up. LJ feints the attack for the challenge. He brings back towards his net, and apparently Jack's shot's blocked. FK trying to follow up. SSG are able to weather the storm.
A little pass from Hoxer. Tried to catch LJ in transition. Back to Chicago. Maybe leaving it for LJ. And I like this decision right here from SSG. Just slow it down once the play starts to develop. You have Gen G guessing on the goal line. They get a little cheeky right at the goal line at that. And now a chance for a counterattack from Gen G.
Oh,
Reset
wow.
from
Oh,
Chronic.
my.
Upfield. Nobody else around to contest in a 1v2 in the net.
I don't know why Chicago, I mean, he didn't have boost, so there's not much he could do, but I don't know why he thought that Chronic was just going to fall back to earth into his challenge. Chronic was going to get that flip reset, and he used it perfectly to ensure that goal.
Somebody had to break things open. It was going to be Chronic. Tie game. A lot of time on the clock. The first killer. Caught. Flip. Goal.
Well, for Gen G, this is the man you want to get hot. I mean, you know, between him and Chronic, it's very dangerous for defenses. Chronic and First Killer are such a deadly tandem. And for Gen G, you're getting First Killer on the board, shooting 50%. You're up by 1. Some good work from Gen G to stay in this game.
Very simple approach. Hey, it works out. Not too bad. Resources through the corner. Yet again, SSG at the midfield. You can say that a couple of times in this series. First Killer again able to beat 1. First Killer tracking with it, trying to win the challenge on the back wall. Unfortunately, cut down a little too early as SSG do escape, but not for long. Apparently, Jack over 1 off the crossbar, and still Chicago pulls it down to safety. He's got Hoxer ready in transition, gives it to Hoxer. Down, LJ might be able to make a play. No, it's going to be Chicago. Crossing pattern from Hoxer, can't break up the defense, and Gen G survive.
The block from Chronic as well. Don't let SSG right back into transition on the counter, but they are going to find it either way. Great clear, though, from First Killer. That'll send SSG all the way back, and they're going to need more of that. Force Space Station to really play through the midfield. Nothing free. And here's LJ on the solo play. That's what they're going to resort to if you take away that midfield. No more passes. You've got to get up and shut down LJ as fast as possible.
I've seen a couple of times now at the midfield where SSG, once they recognize they might have one player beat from Gen G, they're pulling the ball laterally. They're really focused on these long passes and working off the sidewall. They don't want Gen G to stack numbers in the goal line. They want them to chase. It's worked a couple of times. The long clears are deadly. If you can connect, LJ, reset, cross again from Hoxer. He'll pick it up on his own. Playing with his boost here. But yet again, back to the midfield.
A minute left in Space Station. Their offense has really been muted. Not for a lack of trying, but Gen G have done well to break it up. Demos are coming out, though. Maybe a chance now for Space Station. Can't seem to hang on to it, but it pops back out to Chicago. He's got Hawks on the far side. He's pre-jumped. He's there, and that pass was a little bit too high and came in a little too hot. But Space Station, they're creeping up.
They've been working this angle, this connection for about a minute now. They know exactly what they want to go for. They just want one leading pass that leads into a pre-jump aerial and a tie ball game. Whether or not Gen G give it to them, that's the question. Chronic doing everything he can to shut down that opportunity. First Killer with another 50. Through the corner, Chronic in a fight for the ball. He punches it towards the net. Chronic slowing it down. 8 seconds to go. A lead for Gen G. Hoxer moving upfield. Flipping his way into a body block. Chicago centers. And unfortunately just won't be enough. Quality attempts after quality looks there from SSG, but Gen G hold on in this game. They get just enough. First Killer's second touch was good enough for the second goal, and with that, a 2-1 series lead.
And that ending of that game was very similar to game 1. Without the comeback, or at least without the 2-0 lead for Gen G. This was a game where, in the waning moments, Space Station found more and more opportunity. And that was very similar to game 1. And in a similar fashion, they weren't able to capitalize. So I hesitate to say, oh, well, you know what, this is the thing they're doing wrong, or to pinpoint or to try and like kind of trap down what may or may not have happened here, but more kind of take a general approach and say, listen, this time it didn't drop for Space Station. It wasn't without trying. It wasn't without creating your opportunity. That was certainly there. The Gen G defense just
This has
strong.
been one of the closest series we've had on our mainstream. I mean, if I want to look at yesterday, we could say like the SSG RMC was close. The G2 Gen G was very wavy back and forth. It was very pendulum swing, one team dominating the other team, kind of pulling back. G2 looked flat for the first 2 games yesterday, but I mean, Corelli, we started game 1 with a blistering speed from both offenses. Then we go to game 2 where Gen.G really start to kind of solidify their defense more, but SSG just started piling on the points. Like Gen.G were like, all right, we're going to 2-stack on the goal line. Gen.G said, all right, bet. We're going to go for long clears and connect with each other on those passes. It was a 5-1, I believe, 6-1 game. Then in game 3, back to kind of that game 1 speed, but both teams getting their fair share of opportunities. Now into our 4th match here of this best of 5. Hoxer looked like he had a touch. Instead, leaves off for LJ. Could have been an SSG lead, but the main point being, these teams have played each other excellently in this series, and I expect nothing less in Game 4.
Yeah, some top-tier NA Rocket League being played right now. Really fun to watch between both these teams. A shame if this one doesn't go to 5 with the way it's been played. The pace throughout this series has changed dramatically. In the beginning, it was so quick. It slowed down a little bit. Looks like it's picking back up. Gen.G are swarming in this SSG corner. And a little fake from first killer follow-up was there. Chicago saves the day, but Gen.G are not done with Space Station yet. They want more.
Chicago doesn't play behind his own teammate. That's probably a goal. Great recognition to be in the right place, right time. Hoxer immediately challenges on that possession. Can't blame him. LJ gets center net wide open. So much free real estate, and LJ opens up proceedings.
Well, this is a nightmare for Gen.G, especially with the way they started. They had full control, and you let a free ball come out from your corner. That's a training-packed shot for LJ, and he puts it home. And you know a player like LJ is going to put that one home, and sitting at a 1-0 lead for Space Station is how you're going to find yourself to a Game 5.
That's the freest shot he's had all series. Hadn't had to work in any weird angle to center that one around. Demo in the corner. Jack, handoff. Oh my God. It's a shadow play. A little bit of 1-2 razzle dazzle, and Chronic gets the credit.
Yeah, Chronic, you can see in the replay. Well, you can't see in the replay on stream, but on his POV, he is parked, watching apparently Jack on where he's going to go, and of course, I'm sure some communication as well. Gen.G on the same page, and it pays off.
Big bump on the kickoff. Hoxer trying to get it to LJ. Hawk on low boost has been a nuisance in this series. Again, popped up for LJ's handling. What's he going to do with it? As the reset uses it, bumped off. Still challenged by Chronic. First killer was deleted off the backboard, but it didn't matter. The defense from Gen.G able to, again, withstand this pressure. First killer can't get there in time. Apparently Jack can. Chronic squishying it out, and it's wide open underneath.
Oh my gosh.
It was a 2-stack inside, a bit of chaos, but Chicago doesn't even worry about it.
This is the type of decision-making that I'm talking about. He had a lot to choose from here, and it's a perfect pass to Chicago, who puts it under the 2 defenders. LJ, that type of decision-making is how you win games.
You can do it on the ball. You can do it off the ball. LJ, maybe a third. 1 goal on 3 shots already. Chicago through the corner, and SSG getting back to the spots they like. Their power positions have been in the corner with those free touches. Hoxer, again, being a nuisance, a problem. LJ just leaves it off the backboard. It's forcing, again, the defense of Gen.G to slow down. They can't immediately counterattack upfield. They can't always throw for a moving clear and try to get out and escape and let first killer or apparently Jack to connect. They're having to work overtime, especially off the backboard. Chronic, the first killer, take it away, poked free. Chronic will be there, has to play towards his own corner, but LJ's able to get out and get boost. LJ, ready. He actually pre-jumped that touch from Chicago. That's insane.
And Oxford almost got a bump as well, and Space Station almost feeling like they're entering flow state at the moment. A pre-jump like that from LJ means he's having some sort of premonition as Space Station walk up to the plate. First killer, they got a little fake from his teammate, bought himself an extra touch. But Gen.G trying to knock on the door here. Great shot from Chronic, and Gen.G shut down Space Station.
I mean, you had LJ on low, you had Chicago ready. It's a tough read for sure, but Chronic puts it just dead center net. I mean, that is as direct a shot as you're going to get. Good recognition from Chronic. Tie game 2-2. Again, after this series, we will have G2 versus Shopify. So if you're in chat and you're wondering, and you're hoping, don't worry, we got you. Hoxer going to try to pick it up off the kickoff. Actually leaves it for LJ. A 1v1 on the ground. First killer not going to bite. Apparently Jack trying to get out in front. First killer still finishes the play. That's just stupid.
I got to give some credit to Chicago. He stayed in the mix as long as he could. LJ, though, surprising that he took that one straight into the defender. Chicago getting beaten up and unfortunately couldn't come up with the save. But I think LJ, maybe a little bit of a mistake or just didn't take the challenge properly to go into that. didn't have a lot of options for the solo play. He was kind of collapsed upon too quickly, and that put Chicago in a very tough spot.
It's one of those like tackles that the ball just fumbles out and it just, squirts away for Gen G. And you're like, all right, fair play. Not much you can do. First killer. What in the world, man? Where did this angle come from? Where is this double tap possible?
It's one of those FK angles, you know what I mean? And with 44 boost, what a read from First Killer off the backboard. Gen G up by 2, and in a game where it felt like Space Station was not running it away in the sense of the scoring, but running away with it as in the pace of play. Gen G has just stopped them in their tracks.
Still plenty of time, though, if you're an SSG fan. After a loss, SSG are one of the better teams in the tournament. They put on a flurry of shots. It was a 2-0 lead at one point. Don't forget. LJ from his own corner actually gets baited by First Killer with no boost. That's wild. He will escape. Jack going to try to bring this back down to the ground. And a massive clear to shut down what would have been an LJ touch.
Space Station, they've got to get going.
Oh, man.
Oh, no, that one's off the post as well, apparently. Jack almost able to put one away, and that could be the dagger for Space Station if they can't find one soon.
Trying to drop the hammer, First Killer. Already has 2 goals in this game on 3 shots. Unrelenting. The pressure from Gen G at the moment. Chronic still just getting involved, getting physical on low boost. I mean, you can't buy a clear right now if you're SSG.
And it's just Gen G locking them in. Space Station having to go out towards midfield to collect boost means they're trying to defend from behind the play. Hoxer, that's a great flick, and now they just got apparently Jack. Can Hoxer do something here? He backflips, wait for the bump from LJ, didn't come. Needs Chicago to put this one home. It's a save from Chronic. Space Station still trying to attack, and LJ was just trying to force it with that cut, but First Killer will make sure this series ends in 4.
That'll do it. 3-1 for Gen G against SSG. The handoff to First Killer. GG's all around. It was a pretty great response from SSG in this series, especially this game 4 to start. But slow and steady wins the race from Gen G, and they did not waste any time reminding everybody of how good they can be.
It's a shame this one doesn't get 5. I think Space Station actually played a decent series here. This one certainly got away from them, but they were up the scruff against this Gen G squad, and this time, though, Gen G coming out on top.
They look very good. They look very, very good. So if you're a Gen G fan and you're worried about more recent performances as of right now against some of the better teams in the region, they're looking quality. That's not a great way to say it, but they're looking good, folks. Gen G take it 5-2 in game 4. Here's the stat breakdown. 674 for Chronic again. I mean, First Killer had 3 goals, but Chronic once more. 2-2-4 across the board. Chronic continues to be the standout on this team. When he's playing well, it seems like everybody else does as well, Corrali.
Yeah, he's certainly the catalyst. He's been the spearhead. And for Gen G, he got a lot out of First Killer, which we couldn't say that for Gen G yesterday. I felt like First Killer maybe didn't have, or I don't know if it was a bad day, or rather a bad series that we saw him in, but more so of a quiet series from First Killer. But they got the job done. And this time, yesterday, Gen G took down Space Station to 3-0 fashion with 2 overtimes. This time they take him down 3-1, so dropping a game, but still, I think commanding a lot of this series. And that's back-to-back days of beating Space Station. So Gen G certainly on top.
I believe we will have an interview with apparently Jack, so I'm very keen to know how he's feeling today. We talked to him a little bit yesterday. Maybe, what's updated for today with the squad, how they're feeling against their matchup, but it just looks like, again, Gen G are playing very comfortable Rocket League. They're playing very confident Rocket League, especially that last, 2 minutes. It seems like every game, Corelli, in this series, the last minute or so has been where both teams kind of settle into their roles. One team tries to dominate through the corner. The other team really kind of focused, obviously, on trying to get out of that chokehold. But Gen G had done a really great job in the final 45 of being able to keep SSG isolated on their own side of the field, and they just weren't allowing any clears to the midfield. They can win SSG could take the challenge from the corner, they could play the ball off the backboard, but Gen G were refusing to let SSG break out, especially when you're down 2 goals and you need to score. You have that pressure on you. Gen G did a really good job of knowing when to put the clamps on and how to not overextend themselves. That could lead way to a quick counterattack. So very interested to see what Jack has to say, but A really good series. Very sad it didn't go 5. SSG do take 1, but Gen G kind of weathered the storm and played better in the long run, like the marathon team versus the sprinters of SSG. This was a good one from Gen G.
Yeah, well, Hoodie said I could be smug if Space Station won, and they didn't. So I'm here to feel that
That's right, pal.
smugness from Hoodie as we welcome him back into the broadcast.
Hey, no smugness here, but we do have some exciting news. Breaking news. OG secure a Game 5 victory over Poab. Maybe today is the day they break the curse.
Wow.
They looked
We'll
good,
update
man.
you with the rest of the matches as well. RMC, a quick 3-0 sweep over Incorrect. Obviously, we saw here Genji 3-1. G2 grab a 3-0 victory over Fun. G2 on a surge today as well. 6 straight games. And SR with a 3-1 victory over Dignitas. Dignitas struggling a bit today. That inconsistency still plaguing them. But I will say this. Our heat check. Hey, those 2 players that were on the come up, Chronic and Two Piece, their squads have been doing their thing today. So I'm excited to see them continue to heat up in the Shift Summer League. We can see some highlights here. And you guys nailed it. It is really a shame that we didn't get 5 because obviously, I think it's fair to say that Gen G did seem to have control, at least the majority of things, but Space Station is just right there. It seems like, 1 or 2 extra touches in defense or a little bit more accuracy on a couple of the shots, and they would be right there in those series or even taking some of these games. A tough go for a Space Station, but no shame in losing to a squad like Gen G. Obviously, one of the best teams in the world.
Definitely are. And they played like that today, too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Space Station was giving it their all. I felt like Space Station, again, played a pretty good series. So I do think a lot of that was First Killer. I think First Killer played really well this series as opposed to when we saw them yesterday on the mainstream, at least. But overall, I felt like Gen G, the whole team, really came together, stepped up to the challenge that I think Space Station presented and shut down players like LJ at crucial moments where he could make a difference. And I think that was another big difference maker for Gen G.
Yeah, definitely. And Spaceman, you were talking about it. We are going to have a quick chat with AppJack in a moment. I will he's here. As soon as I say it, he appears. AppJack, thank you for taking some time to chat with us today. Let's get over to our interview screen and see your beautiful face.
I appreciate it.
Of course, man. So week 1, a little bit of a slow start. We talked about it, we chatted about it yesterday, but you guys have been on a tear here in week 2. All 3 of you playing just unbelievable Rocket League. Has there been anything that changed, or are you guys just kind of getting back into the groove now?
Just getting back into the groove, we said yesterday, it's, last week we were just kind of first day back in scrims, pretty much the previous day on the Monday. So, just getting back into it. And I think we did have a chat and figured out why everyone, no one was feeling good and feeling awkward. So, just a bit of kind of internal talks and, natural happenings with, warming up back into the swing of things. And we're playing well now. Absolutely,
you are. That's actually such an interesting thing because I also wanted to ask you about Chrome. He is a coach you guys brought in for the second half of the season. And I just wanted to know, and of course, if you can, share what prompted that, and then maybe talk a little bit about what that has brought to the team and how that's impacted you guys.
Yeah, of course. Ali was, fantastic over the course of a year and a half around that time. So no discredit to him whatsoever. We just wanted a change in terms of people bring different things. Okay, we wanted a change in terms of what someone brought. Not necessarily saying one is better than the other, just specific people or like certain teams need certain things. We thought we needed something else. We thought we, had kind of a lot of moral support and like environment with Ali, but not a ton of like gameplay stuff. We wanted someone that was more gameplay, and we brought in Chrome, and it's been a nice change, and definitely something to get used to over time, and we're looking to have gotten used to that now. So hopefully we can keep it up.
Yeah. I mean, it seems clear as day. You guys are rocking and rolling now. Well, you have a great record over Space Station throughout this RLCS season, and then now, of course, through Shift Summer League as well. You guys just really seem to have their number, and so it makes me curious. And it could be for any reason. Are there any teams that you just really look forward to playing? Maybe it's because it's a challenge. Maybe it's because you have a good matchup against them. Are there any teams, North America or international, that you guys just really look forward to playing?
Yeah, I mean, kind of. I always say, whenever I get asked this question on stream or whatever, it's like I just play. If I can have the if I can play some, gold twos all the way to a world championship victory, I'll take that any day. I don't really care to play the strongest. The results are the results at the end of the day. So I don't really care. And it's the opposite. I don't really care if we play someone great. You can take positives from anything if you want to. That's my kind of thing. So a little bit, we like playing G2. There's a rivalry there, at least on our end. I think everyone would notice that. We always like playing them. And then internationally, honestly, I like playing Gentlemates. In scrims, for example, we've only played them once, but in scrims, it's always a good scrim. It's always nice to play them. One of my favorite personal teams. That if I did have one, it would be them. So yeah, I'd say them and G2.
Awesome. Well, man, congratulations on a much stronger week too. You guys, best of luck with your final match today. Thank you for taking some time to chat with us. We're going to take a short break. We'll come back with our final match of Shift Summer League.
Coming home at 4 a.m., staring at the holes in the ceiling. Feels a little smaller now as I'm trying harder to breathe in. Lying in the sheets, caught up in between dreaming and a nightmare. Ghost in the machine, you're haunting my sleep, a familiar stranger. Loving can be so hard sometimes. Give me a feeling in the silence. I need you as my alibi. Hold your breath, it's a deep dive. Stood at the edge as we're so tight, rusting around.
Welcome back, folks. This is our final match of the evening. And we've got a fun one. Poab versus RMC. I know you guys are stoked. Look at you. Both of you grinning. Look at y'all.
I don't know what you're talking about, dude.
Well, listen, Poab has, they have regained a bit. They had a very slow start in week 1, but they look a little bit better now in week 2, grabbing at least a couple of victories. How are you guys feeling, Spaceman, about this Poab versus RMC matchup?
You want a serious answer or you want a normal answer? Which one
normal
you want,
answer.
Hootie? We're going 5, baby. We'll see you there.
What was the
all I got.
non-serious answer?
We're going 5, baby.
Okay, it's the same
Save for
thing.
both,
All
it
right, that's
doesn't
what I
matter,
thought.
Yeah.
It is known.
How are we feeling? We're going 5. Nice. Okay.
I look at this one. I see Poab. Okay, yeah, sure. You beat Incorrect. You beat OG yesterday, which is a big win in my book in 5. I don't know. They've had a really tough go. They besides the OG win, it feels like Poab hasn't really been able to put up a fight against the other teams. They've been 3-0'd by Dignitas. They were, I think, 3-1 by G2. I'm just scrolling through it now. 3-1 by Space Station. So Pirates on a Boat, they've had some tough goes here. And against RMC, I mean, this is a team that's, lingering around the top of league play. The expectation, as we heard from Greg yesterday, is they're here to play, they're here to try, they're here to push in this league play. And it's showing. They're 8-3 right now. And I have a sneaking suspicion they could end up 9-3 after this series.
Maybe some leaks there for the prediction in a few moments. I'm excited to see these guys play as well. We'll take a look back at what RMC has done throughout day number 4 of Shift Summer League. A rough go at the beginning. They lost 3-1 to Space Station. As you guys mentioned earlier, that was kind of a flip-flop from yesterday. Their second round was a big regain, a 3-0 sweep over Incorrect. And now, of course, final match of the day. They can end on a high note over OAB. So let's just jump right into it. Spaceman, what is your prediction for this inevitable 5-game series?
Well, I think that all signs are pointing RMC have been playing much more fluid offensively. Their commitments downfield have not been as reliant upon everybody being pressed up at a time. And like Cheese is not making mistakes when it comes to playing upfield. When it comes to defensively, the team looks cleaner. I'm kind of picking at straws here for RMC. I just think they're playing better LG Rocket League than they've played like the past 4 months for me. So I expect this obviously to go 5, but I think, you have an opportunity here. If you're RMC to go 9-3, you have an opportunity to at least secure your spot top 4. You have an opportunity to not get pulled out by Shopify on your heels at 8-3, 27-20 map count overall. RMC at 28-18. So this is the time to win it. This is the opportunity. You got to do it here. So I'm taking them.
And Corelli, again, inevitable 5-game series. Are you leaning RMC or Poab?
I'm leaning RMC here. I'm not going to count my boys out against Pirates. I do think Pirates are a team that, as I alluded to, not doing well here in this league play. But I do think that Pirates can be a team that might give RMC a little bit of trouble. So maybe we go 5, but I think RMC should comfortably win here.
I thought you were setting up for a Pirates ARG thing there.
Oh, no. I'm not Spaceman. Okay.
Well, listen, I'm with you guys. We're going to go the full desk for RMC. I think they have just been a little too consistent relative to this Poab squad. They had, Poab, on the other hand, so they've been up and down. They finally, like you said, they got a couple wins, Incorrect and OG, but those are kind of their peers towards the bottom of the ladder. RMC is up at the top, and I expect them to find a way to win here. Hey, enough yapping. We got one final match today. Let's get into it. Spaceman Corelli, take us away for RMC versus Poab.
Well, this should be a fun one. I expect this to go the distance. We say expect, we know in our bones it's going that way. And for those who are wondering, where's Shopify and G2? Joke's on you. Corelli told me to tell a lie, so I did. So now we're here. We got Pirates on a Boat, RMC. You have been had, but you're in for a 5-game series, so it should be a fun one regardless. Corelli, I'm excited to watch RMC do the inevitable.
The vibes are immaculate, by the way, in the pregame lobby. Reynolds just trolled the entire lobby by pretending to be the referee and got everyone to join. So it's good stuff here in the RMC and Pirates on a Boat matchup. Players were dying to play, and they're finally into the gameplay. And we'll see. I don't have a ton of faith in Pirates right now. I mean, listen, I love the team. I love what they've done in RLCS. They were a lot of fun on the come up. And now it seems like they've kind of stagnated. RMC, they've been a little inconsistent, but their peak certainly a little bit higher. And so far in Shift Summer League, they've been great.
Would it be safe to say for Pirates that they've kind of had a high floor, low ceiling ever since kind of routing out their roster around split number 2 as they kick off the scoring here in game 1 for Eris? But it does feel like at times Pirates just kind of show you all they got, but certainly here they're finding some success.
Well, that's a great start. You get a bump off the back wall, and you basically open up a free shot for Eris. So those are the types of plays that you're going to have to put together if you're going to take down any team, let alone RMC. And to your point, I mean, sure, there was some consistency in the results from Pirates. Multiple top 8 finishes in a row. Very consistent from Pirates on a boat, and that's important to beat your peers. But right now, Magic Bear slotting to the other side. It's 5 up, making some great saves. And RMC letting their chances go to the wayside.
It does feel like, what version of RMC are we going to get? Cheese just waiting for Reynolds to continue bullying players out of the goal line. Reynolds on low boost. Will be back at the midfield, ready for this one. Cheese getting the call, misses the ball. Okay. Already off to a hot start as Pirates open up the game with a nice little bump into a goal. But for now, RMC try to work back through the midfield. We've seen this a couple of times where they start to set up in the corner and they can really put pressure on.
RMC still scoreless in the first minute and a half and double committing into the corner. Pirates slow to react on that one and tried to pick it up again. Another double commit coming out from RMC, and they might pay. No, Eris missing the shot. That's when you got to punish RMC. If you're on the Pirates on the boat side, you have to put that one away. RMC gave it to you for free, and now back the other way goes Magic Bear, and we're all tied up.
Yeah, that was as free as possible for Eris. You can't miss that, and Magic will absolutely punish you on the other side. Around Andy, gets a demo to help out. Magic Bear finds the first goal for RMC, and at least in the current iteration of this roster, right? We are expecting more from Magic Bear. It's nice to see him getting started early, but it does still feel like at times maybe he's a little bit quieter. But the interviews with Greg has come out and said that, look, Cheese and Magic Bear have been freed up more on the field to do what they need to do what they want. And certainly, at least in Cheese's case, he has found more success.
Cheese is typically that X factor for RMC as well. I was trying to mention it yesterday. It's very important that Cheese has consistency on both sides of the field. And when it comes to the offensive side, having him be confident behind the ball is such a huge boon to the offense. 2 demos come out from Magic Bear, and still RMC fielding a shot from Eris, who's just trying to take on the team by himself. His team is there to help out, and Cheese will jump in front.
And he actually stole the corner, but gets demoed immediately, so that nets nothing. Reynolds looking for the demo. Left off, Eris, a lot of space to work with here. Trying to get one back from the open net. He missed off the backboard. Andy, they're ready for the catch. Cheese with the save. Defense from RMC, not allowing much in for free. And this is a squad that at times can triple commit upfield. So if you're Pirates on a boat, you're kind of waiting for one of those opportunities where a little overzealous from RMC could lead way to a Pirate shot. 5 up in the corner, and Eris will try to recover.
Eris flip reset, has some space. RMC's got to go, and he's faking out. 5 up doesn't put the shot on target. I think that one got carried a little too close, and then he jumps in front of Andy, and somehow they've made it work. They were running into each other, and they were a little off sync, but still RMC in a worse position. 2 players jump. Eris slots it home.
If RMC get posted up on the goal line and Pirates don't know what they want to do in offense, sometimes that works out. If you don't know what you're going to do, the defense doesn't either. A lead for Pirates.
And a little disappointing, I think, from RMC for a team that had everyone back on that play, not really able to take advantage of some miscues coming out from Pirates. And even worse, giving up the goal. Now you find yourself down a goal with 1:15 left on the clock, and Reynolds posturing. Didn't get the touch, but it somehow has gotten through 2. Cheese has options here, drops it down. No follow-up from RMC. Magic Bear backwards, but Pirates on a boat going to get out.
And they doubled on the goal line, so there really wasn't much of an angle to work through either. Reynolds on no boost. He's been sitting at the midfield, not pathing on the small pads, was waiting for maybe a 50 that would poke out for Magic to take advantage of. Cheese just body blocks enough. Magic with a great touch.
Yeah, Magic, I mean, giving that one a shot to go in, but no one connecting means this one kind of floats at the top of the box. Cheese jumping on top of 5-Up. I don't even know if 5-Up was going to get there in time. Magic with the slot, and RMC find their equalizer.
Certainly one of the weirder games we've had on mainstream today. Quality kickoff over to Magic. Reynolds grabs the corner, gives it back. Magic going to get the call. Reynolds getting a bump. Nice setup. Cheese will try to close the deal here. Drop the hammer on Andy. Wins the 50. Out to Magic. Center of the box. Off the crossbar. Eris safe.
Some good looks from RMC. Their offense ramping up. Backboard found for Cheese. Magic Bear late, but still comes out with the challenge. Cheese plays this one across, and Reynolds in that third man position wasn't really in a shooting position, but he gets through one. Reynolds looking for help. It's a Magic Bear near post. A kiss off the post, and it goes wide. Demos come out. 10 seconds left.
You should crash here if you're RMC. No need not to. There's another demo. Power play still. But no advancement on the ball. RMC have had 2 demos to work with. Cheese has Magic Bear ready. Wins the 50. This should touch the ground momentarily. Maybe not. Andy actually escapes down the sideline. Cheese centers it perfectly for Eris. Ball still hanging in the corner. Reynolds to Magic. Back to Andy. A lot of boost here to work with if you're Pirates. And eventually Cheese will get up. So sloppy game one for both teams, but it goes to OT.
Yeah, it's smart. Nobody had boost on the RMC side. And again, sending their middle man on the kickoff. Both of the diagonal kickoffs flipping back. Taking that challenge head on. Here's Andy, excuse me. And his Pirates trying to steal away game one, but it's Magic Bear to carry it out. He's got Reynolds on the far side. Trying to get this one back down to the ground, and a little gap for the defense is found by Eris. And RMC lucky that he didn't break through.
Some very nonchalant touches from the defense of RMC right now. Easy giveaways that are giving Pirates so much space to work with. A demo really helps. Got to clear this one downfield. Just let Cheese start to fly out and roam. Let him extend the play as much as he needs to. Reynolds into the corner. Magic waiting for the touch. Eris already moved up to the midfield. No extension. Andy keeps it on the ground. Reynolds with a poke out. Cheese in the corner. Magic Bear can't get the angle. Cheese circling. Somebody needs to make the call. He'll get demoed. And 5-Up has a lot of space to work with here.
Yeah, the comp's a little off there for RMC, but they make it work. Pirates up to 11 shots. And actually, RMC with 11 shots as well. So both teams getting an opportunity here as we stay knotted. Oh, not for long. Did that just pitch in from Cheese?
I don't even know if it was touched.
Andy's the last man back. No, it didn't pinch, but Andy just gave it right back to him. It was a challenge straight into the net, and I think even Cheese is shocked that goes in for him. And RMC, what a way to come out on top.
I mean, that's one of those instances where you're you're expecting the challenge to come in, but you're not expecting a weaker shot, a weaker goal to be the decider in OT. Not the prettiest game from both teams in game one, but a ridiculous amount of shots across the board. I mean, essentially a similar stat card. 7 shots for Eris, 2 for Andy, 2 for 5-Up, 3 for Cheese, 7 for Magic Bear, 2 for Reynolds. Cheese everywhere on the field. A goal and assist, 4 saves, 3 shots, 2 for Magic Bear, 2 saves on 7 from the field. This was very much a battle won in the transition by Magic Bear, by Eris. You have an open net opportunity there, and you have to think that if Eris scores that, this could be a very different game one.
And it was pretty clear. I think Eris was the biggest threat towards the RMC defense throughout this game one. He was all over the ball, kind of in a commanding position through the midfield and in shooting positions around the box. Yep. Pirates getting a lot out of him in this game one.
Well, that is the first game of this last best of 5 for tonight. Only 3 series on the docket. Welcome into the last one if you're just joining us. Of course, we will have updates for all the other series happening off screen, both from Hootie and as well decent little mid shout outs from us as this series continues. Enough yapping here on our screen. Let's get back into the game for game number 2 of RMC versus Pirates on the Boat. Game 1, not the prettiest, but it's a long series and plenty of time for both teams to figure out some of the kinks. Pirates looked pretty solid off the opening start. They were finding some positive rhythm between the defensive mistakes from RMC. However, you do have an open net that Eris should have hit 10 times out of 10, and you have to wonder how that game 1 would have went if they were able to close the deal now into game 2.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be pretty. Just has to work. And for Pirates, they were oh so close to keeping that one in their own side as for 5-Up. Excuse me. I almost call it the first killer. That would be the compliment, but for 5 up. He'll put away an open net. And what in the world
Magic
happened
drove
to the
away
defense?
and Reynolds drove away.
Where did they go? What on earth just happened?
They just drove away from the play. I want to say I think Reynolds thought Magic was going to challenge. I think Cheese thought that as well. Reynolds thought Magic would challenge. Magic thought Reynolds would challenge. And nobody communicated. And they drove away from the ball. So sometimes it happens. We're back to where we belong. Some deja vu to get into game 2.
Just a mishap there from RMC, and it's good for Pirates to capitalize on those. Not a lot of free opportunities come for Pirates, really for either team. And now Reynolds quickly trying to turn this one around. Magic Bear got to place it, and 5 up jumps in front. RMC threatening in their first attack, and they'll come up fruitless.
Reynolds already worked on the other side of the field. Cheese, not much, but still making it at least interesting through the corner. He'll pick up a demo at the midfield. Still no possession for RMC. Not able to advance the ball. Andy falls tracking with it. Harris gives to Andy. Nice little defensive clear here from Pirates.
Yeah, good work from Pirates, but still dunked on by Cheese. And another challenge. This one ricochets off of Reynolds. And for RMC, someone's got to get a hold of this ball, and they're lucky Andy didn't pinch that one towards net. I think that was his intention as he realized he had an opportunity on it. And Reynolds will very slowly take this one away, but another double commit thwarted by just a single player on the side of Pirates.
RMC looking like they're struggling to read the bounce. And as I say that, it's a long distance goal from Cheese. We've seen this before.
Well, it happened for Pirates, so it'll happen here for RMC, and there's not much you can do about that one if you're Pirates. You have to take a better challenge, of course, but in the end, that one dropping for RMC is exactly what they needed for a game like this, where it has been very back and forth and low score.
It doesn't really feel like RMC are reading the bounce of the ball that well in this game, let alone this series. Say something similar for Pirates, but I think Pirates have had maybe a more structured offense, or at least approach-wise, have been a little bit more clean. Reynolds trying to get out in front. He's going to hunt for the demo. He gets a block. Does enough to make the play interesting. Shot from Cheese, save from Andy. No boost for Andy. Pass to Magic. Kind of following through on the double. Cheese gets the handoff in a beautiful play downfield.
Those are the types of plays that RMC need to put together. Cheese finding their man in the middle, and it comes right back to Cheese off a couple touches from Magic Bear. The defense, they can't challenge on those types of plays because of the ball movement from RMC. And you're seeing what happens is Pirates on the boat just have to see and wait and see when the shot's actually coming. They don't get up in time. And RMC putting on a clinic with that one. Cheese tried to go low for a second chance, but RMC, they are moving with the ball. Magic Bear puts it home. It's 2-0.
Quick decisions. Quick decisions from Reynolds. He immediately knows where he wants to go with this one. Magic puts it netward. Cheese with a clip. Left post. Just sneaks it in.
It very easily could be 2-0 in this series for RMC with the way they're playing. Another pass out. This one, I think that's intentional over to Reynolds. Just trying to keep the ball is RMC, and it's smart, and it's paid off against Pirates on a boat, who have struggled to put together their chances. Only 3 shots so far.
Nice pass to Magic. Again, another rip from the midfield. Cheese and Magic starting to sync up in rotation. Looks great. Reynolds throws it again towards net. Magic gets a bump. And now we're starting to see the offense of RMC really start clicking. Something that was missing in the beginning of the series.
Yeah, the Pirates are starting to get bullied a little bit. Eris trying to work his magic, and it might pay off, but Reynolds makes the save. That was the first look that Pirates have had in a while. The pre-jumping passes are coming out from RMC. That's when you know they're confident.
She's the only one back. Can Pirates get it behind the last defender? No, not going to happen. Magic wins a 50, and Reynolds works underneath the player. Cheese. The Magic. And I think if you're RMC, you want to continue to get the defense of Pirates to spread out like this, so nobody really has a clear lane to be able to connect with their teammate downfield. Cheese looking for the double. Magic.
My goodness. Who was that on the side wall? That was a beautiful touch from Reynolds to keep 5 up off the ball, set up Cheese. Cheese doesn't hit the double tap, but he leaves it for Magic Bear, puts it home. And, I mean, what do you want to say about RMC? Their offense is gorgeous right now.
4-1 with 1:09. Pirates trying to respond in game 2. got to come through the ground game. Certainly hasn't worked off the backboard. Again, Reddles off the kickoff. Been a nuisance. Cheese stabilizing, kind of. Demo might help. Certainly does. Back to the midfield. Cheese ready for the handoff if he wants it. He will back up. Hits the reverse. Little LG special. Eris with the reset. No boost, though. And Cheese was more than happy to play patiently.
I mean, if you're Pirates, what do you do? I mean, I think you're already thinking about the next game. You're down by 3 with 30 seconds left. This has been a frustrating game. Yeah, you generated 6 shots and you were able to convert on 1 of them, but now you're just getting bullied, not only physically, but just by the way they have to posture in this game. They're not getting enough boosts to move downfield with any presence. They're not getting any possession to hold the attack, to hold RMC down. And RMC, they've had so much freedom in this game to do whatever they want, and the scoreline shows it.
I don't think we've seen a single demo from Pirates in this game, too. Could be wrong, but it hasn't felt like there's been much of a response from the physical game of Reddles and Cheese upfield. Andy, the one for the road, some good vibes, not going to happen. Cleared away from the backboard, a 2-0 series lead for RMC against Pirates in a pretty back and forth game 1, pretty uninteresting game 1 for a lot of respects. It's not been the case here in game 2. Looks much more like the RMC offense we expected, but for Pirates, it feels like they're just pressing their heads against a ceiling that will not shatter, and they can't break through.
Yeah, this is kind of a nightmare scenario for Pirates. The first game was competitive, and they played right next to RMC. In fact, maybe even looked better. You could probably argue they looked better in the majority of that game in game 1, but this game, no way. There's just no way you can make an argument like that. RMC, they looked so fluid against Pirates, and I think that's mostly due to Pirates defense just being too weak right now.
The big question now for RMC is, all right, what version of them do we get into game 3? That seems to be kind of the critical point for a lot of the runs this team can make. We heard Coach Greg talking about it in the interviews yesterday, saying, we know we can start off strong, but we have to continue to finish strong in series. For Pirates, I mean, I would love to see a little bit more physicality at the midfield. I think when you're getting chased by Reddles constantly, it does do something to the mental. It does definitely allow for more space for Cheese or Magic Bear to start facilitating passes through the team. Like we saw them, like Reddles, cutting out of the goal line, getting a back pass to Magic Bear. He throws it to Cheese. They pull a shot. Stuff like that, where those opportunities become open because of the demo play. For Pirates, would like to see them maybe be a little more decisive at the midfield, start, chasing down Reddles, really counter him with some bumps, with some demos, and see if you can get some respect back at the midfield.
I think that's a good word to use, because I don't think RMC is respecting Pirates on a boat right now, and the gameplay, I think, kind of showed that. A lot of pre-jumping plays coming out, and they knew they could get away with a lot of these passing plays that they did. And the worst way to start off this game is if you let RMC in quickly. You got to get through this first minute, at least a 0-0 score.
Both teams have had their struggles, their woes with boost management, but it will be a factor in this game 3. Series point here for RMC. For Pirates, sitting on the lower end of the leaderboards in the SSL, a series they really can't afford to lose if they want to have hopes of making it to top 6, back into the money, potentially playoff bracket looming. RMC trying to secure their spot within top 3. Open net. You can't miss that. You cannot miss that.
Who was that?
Cheese absolutely bricked in open net.
That is some moldy slotzarella right there on that shot. You can't miss that one. And for Pirates on a boat, a huge sigh of relief to not see that one drop, as they had an attack of their own, but it fizzles out, and RMC trying to go again.
We'll try it once more through the corner. Pirates get a quick break. A little cheat sheet, a get out of jail for free card. Do they capitalize on it? 5 up downfield, trying to win the 50. Won't happen. 1 minute gone here in game 3. Last series of the night on mainstream. Eris, with no boost, has not been that much of a factor offensively for Pirates after game 1. Both teams have now missed an open net. But still, Pirates fighting for possession.
And for RMC, I think they're, a little lucky that they Well, they're able to put this one together. You can't miss that one. It's off the crossbar. That's fine. But the follow-up has to be in. No one's home. And Cheese and Reynolds combine, and then RMC finally
Act
get
like
there
nothing
first.
happened. Shake it off. It's the best way for any team to get back into things after a blunder. Cheese with a handoff to Reynolds in open space, and those are the kind of passes that RMC are going to go for. So if you're Pirates, you got to do a better job being able to read it. I know it's tough to challenge on low boost. It's tough to convert, and especially make a defensive stop in those little moments where you feel like you have to pre-jump, but you might get caught out. But at this point, you got nothing to lose. They got 2 demos, unable to convert. Cheese will leave it to Reynolds. Take it away. Trying to play keep away at the moment from Pirates. Now a couple of demos from Pirates. Again, the physicality that has not been there in this series certainly showing up here in Game 3. Just how do they convert? It's been the big question.
Oh, and then slowly inching closer and closer, but no one there to crash the net, no one to follow up, and here comes RMC off the counter. 5 up, wants this one himself. It's Brettles in the backfield waiting. Flip reset, it's off target. Magic Bear to challenge, and RMC very cautiously challenge this one out from their side.
Another big win by Reynolds. A lot of space to work with here. Magic creeping up. Not a lot of boost, but keeps the play moving. Cheese playing off the bounce. Air still trying to fight for possession. Wrangle this ball in. I mean, we have spent about 15 seconds at the midfield. Neither team getting an opportunity to really break out of the defensive hold. Finally, a clear to the corner. Reynolds going to get it back. Goes for the fake. Everybody missing. A chance for Pirates to hold on to possession, but they just can't do much with it.
That's a crucial challenge by Cheese. Back flipping into that one. Buying time for Reynolds and Magic Bear to get right back into it. And you can see it pays off. They hold possession and they're attacking third. Pirates on a boat. They have been locked in. They have had no answer for the onslaught. And to be fair, I mean, when you look at the opportunities that RMC is affording themselves in the last 30, 40 seconds, they're really not the scariest. They're not the most dangerous chances that you'll ever see. Ooh. But they are getting opportunity. That one's skirting off right above the net. And still RMC enjoying their 1-goal lead at the moment.
Silver lining right now for Pirates, it feels like if you can hold off on this wave of assaults from RMC, you might get them to overcommit. And if you get a chance to get a long clear or a quick breakout, you will be able to score. RMC are very happy to triple commit at times. W Raid in the chat. Welcome in. 55 seconds to go. Off the backboard. Magic trying to close it. Can't quite find the angle. Still pressing here. RMC looking for their second.
Pirates have to get something going. They've knocked on the door a couple times. That's a great flick on. That one's straight into the net from MB. It's a 2-goal lead for RMC. Have they closed out this series?
That's as simple as it gets and as deadly as they come. Well, how do you even defend against that? You really can't. You had to send the house. There wasn't much else you could do if you're Pirates. RMC toying with them defensively. Hasn't been the cleanest Game 3 by any stretch from both teams, but in the end, you take the advantages, the opportunities where they come, and from that, RMC have found success. The drop down is disgusting.
Oh my gosh.
Cheese with the dagger.
That's the Slotzarella we know and love. And he's finding Reynolds on the back wall. Straight back to Cheese in midair still. A 3-0 lead for RMC, and it went from bad to worse for Pirates.
Is the curse broken? Reynolds with the pre-jump. Wins the low 50. Under 20 to go. To Reynolds again. Setting up more in the offensive third, but Pirates have no answer. Eris, a wing and a prayer, a miracle. Nothing. Pirates just can't find any rhythm in this series. And one of the rare times we've had a sweep on the mainstream. We had it with OG and Dig. We got it with RMC and Pirates. We will not be going 5. Grelly and I will not have to pull our hair out one by one. Nope, it's RMC taking it in 3.
No, we will not. And I don't think it's a shock that RMC won. I think for a lot of people, they're surprised they didn't go 5. And they certainly controlled this game completely against Pirates on a boat. Pirates really didn't show much of anything during this series. I think Game 1 was the best they looked. Outside of that, I think RMC, they were starting to style on after.
Yeah, just a little bit. And it's really, it wasn't like the cleanest series from RMC by any stretch. They did what they had to do in this one, but unfortunately, like, there's not much for me to take away from Pirates. They had opportunities in game one. Again, that open net we will continuously go back to from Eris. Outside of that, Corelli, I'm looking at my notes. I'm looking at, like, let's kind of keep updates as the series goes on. There was not much written down because Pirates just unfortunately did not do much offensively. Times defensively where they really stepped up, but game two, when RMC started to break out a little bit more, started being able to thread their passes in that offensive third much more cleanly than they were at the beginning of the series, you're thinking, okay, RMC, their offense is coming online. How does Pirates respond? I don't know. There was no response. They were just they didn't do anything. So
Yeah. Yeah, no response from Pirates, and they dropped to 3-9 on the league. In the league, rather. Fun sitting at 2-10, the only team below them. They're tied with Incorrect now. We'd have to go back and do the math. Maybe Hoodie knows. We can bring him back in. What that means for them in the future. There's only 2 more days left here, so it's time to put up or shut up.
Are you
Here?
You're back.
I mean,
I
you
don't
sound
know.
back to me.
I sound back. All right. Well, here I
He's
am.
back.
Pop on the screen. I mean, RMC, they just took care of business. There's not a whole lot to talk about. Pohab just, couldn't get it going. It was a pretty sloppy series at times from both sides even. Some silly goals going in and some silly plays, some silly misses. What in the world with Cheese and the wide open net?
I don't know, man.
That looked like me playing the game, So, and that is not a compliment, let me assure you. We do have some highlights, though, and while we did have some silly plays, there were some nice plays as well. Magic Bear and Cheese specifically, that final play right there at the end with Cheese and Reddles linking up in the air, that was something sweet. That will be the conclusion of week 2, though. Folks, we are 2/3 of the way through the season. Corelli and Spaceman were talking about it there. Things are starting to shake out for some of these teams. We've got our teams that are in a great position for the playoff bracket, and we've got some teams that, for the most part, are probably not going to make it in. Fun down there at the bottom with 2-10 series record. Pirates on a boat, of course, 3-9, and Incorrect 3-8. So OG is at that 7th spot with a 4-7. A better showing today, but they've got to keep it rolling tomorrow if they want a chance to break into that playoff bracket. Spaceman, just glancing at this top 6 at the moment, does this seem fairly expected for NA?
I would say so. I think, again, you could maybe argue for OG for sure, and I think today they have again put on a much better performance than they have the past 2 weeks. But surprised, Genji actually are currently down 2-1 against Dignitas, so we'll wait to see what that result looks like. However, RMC, again, they needed this win just both in the map count respectively. They wanted like a clean 3-0 just to help for the head-to-head. They secured themselves not only top 3, but at the moment, barring what happens with Gen G, they are currently first place, 9-3 overall. You got Gen G, G2, SSG, Shopify, and Dig. That's a pretty solid top 6 right there for the money and for the playoff bracket. Yes, OG could be a different discussion, but overall, like, that's kind of where I think a lot of us would have expected these 6 teams to be. Not maybe in order, but that's pretty good. So I think this has been a pretty strong testament to the skill in NA. I think this has been a pretty fair tournament overall. But for RNC, they needed that series win for a lot of reasons in the overall leaderboards and the map count as well. One of the most unclean wins, but when they link up, man, that's the thing. It's like this team can go from like open net miss to Reddles hits a double off the back wall and sets it up for Cheese, and now he collapses and scores. It's mind-blowing how that team can flip on a dime. So very excited to see what they do, but we'll wait to see what Dig and Gen G have in store because I think they're still playing.
I think they are too. We'll come back to that after a quick chat with Raw Greg. We've got the coach of RMC
Get him in, baby.
On the line. Get him in here.
Get my Greggy man in.
Greg, at this point, it just feels like we're linking up to chat like old friends. This is a 3rd meeting this time. It's just what we do. So listen, last week, you guys were handed 2 losses from Gen G and G2. This week, you only held 1 L, and that was to Space Station. I think for a lot of people, those are kind of your consensus top 3, maybe top 4 area squads. What are the general feelings for you and the team after the first 2 weeks of Shift Summer League?
General feelings, I think we're...
They say they can't hear you?
Oh, I'm just talking to nobody.
Well, I can hear you, but... Oh, the chat can't hear
We're
you.
good now.
Are they clowning me?
They're good now. You're
We're good
now.
Okay. All right. We're good now.
Okay. So yeah, general feelings. I think. I mean, we're happy with where we are right now. I mean, a lot of work has been put into like this new play style, and the guys they're definitely liking playing like this. I mean, you can see it in our play style, but we still got to figure out a way to consistently beat those top 3 right now because
Sure.
I mean, obviously that's the benchmark for ourselves too. Like we're not trying to. We know we can beat a lot of the good teams, but we know we're a major team. We didn't show it in the second split, but this is kind of like where we're trying to prove to ourselves that we can beat all these teams and we deserve to be there. So not beating those teams is frustrating, but I mean, again, we're just working to see that, we can keep pushing. It was good to get that SSG win yesterday, but I mean, they came to us today and they played so well. So all credit to them.
Yeah. Well, listen, you guys are currently, pending this Gen G Dignitas series. Either way, you're going to be towards the top of the league in the 1 or the 2 spot. And, Greg, over the last few days, we've chatted so much and last week as well. So, I don't really have a whole lot to ask you, but let's just say, you got any big weekend plans going on? What's happening this weekend?
Actually, one of my buddies is putting on a charity concert for service dogs down in Cleveland. So I'm going to be going to that on Saturday, and it's for a really good cause. So I'm excited to go to it, man.
That is exciting. Nice. All right, well, listen, I'm going to get one more thing from you, and then we'll let you go. You guys can celebrate and enjoy the rest of the day. Are you big on television? You watch any shows?
Oh, of course. I mean, The Boys right now, House of the Dragon, got to.
There it is. Okay.
But Game of Thrones for sure.
Okay, well, that's what I was going to do. I was going to ask for some show recommendations, but I think you just nailed some great ones right there. Greg, man, congratulations on such a
Thank
good
you.
start to Shift Summer League. Send the boys our praise for working hard and the results showing it. It looks like the chat is saying Gen G fell, so you guys are sitting there in that number 1 spot all by yourselves, leading the pack. And best of luck, Greg, in week 3 with Shift Summer League. Thank you for chatting with us. We're going to bring Spaceman and Corelli back on board.
Thank you, Hoodie.
That's a great man.
That's
That's a
my
great
coach.
man right there. That's a
my
good
coach
man
right
right there.
there.
That's a great
That's
man.
our-
That's my
that's our
boogie right
guy.
there. That's right, baby. Yeah, that's right, Greg.
That's okay.
So
Chat,
funny.
you respect that great man. Have a good one, buddy. Listen, chat. I'll be honest with y'all. RMC are going all the way. Okay. That's right, baby. We're going,
RMC
we're
going all the way. Hey, they're in a great spot, man. They're definitely going to be, as long as they play the way that they've been playing, they're definitely going to be grabbing one of those top 4 seeds, grabbing that second life in the playoff bracket. And what we're going to do is we're going to yap for just a moment, but we are going to take a look at the standings for the current Shift Summer League. We got to get things set up. Obviously, we just had a game conclude there with Dig and Gen G. And listen, I mean, we've said it a few times today, but Dig is just all over the place. This Gen G has been fire this week, right? And we've seen a little bit of a lackluster Dig, at least the first half of today. And here they are to conclude the day, taking down Gen G. I mean, what is going on over there, Spaceman?
Dig's all over the place. Gen G's all over the place. They have a ridiculously good showing against SSG. They play great competition. They play great against great competition, and they go play Dig. Obviously, our eyes were not on it, but credit to Dig for being able to, again, handle that level of competition. But what happened to Gen G? I mean, it's like we can say the same thing about Gen G. Like, what happened in that series, man? I think it's still, it is very easy to fall into the pattern of the argument of like, oh, this team they stink now, or they're just inconsistent, which you can say teams are inconsistent. And I'm one of the biggest, loudest people who says that at times, but it's still credit to the talent in NA. Like, let's not forget how long Arsenal has been spending. If you watch his streams, like I do religiously, he's been spending so much time on his mechanics, on his team play, on his spatial awareness. Like the grinders in NA, even on teams that are underperforming, are still grinders. They're still very good. And these players know each other. They have history against one another. They're always going to have good matchups. So even a bad team, even a lackluster team can take it against the top team, in my opinion. So.
I love that point that you bring up too with the talent in NA. I think for a long time, Europe has been producing some incredible talent. I mean, we think of the Seikos and the Zins, the Oski, Ato. There's been so many fantastic names, and I think NA is on the cusp of that. We've got some players that have been kind of in the lab refining, and we've got some new talent as well. We saw Snowmen and the likes of similar teams like that in NA this season. So exciting stuff if you're an NA fan. We do have the standings ready to rock and roll, so let's take a look at that before we close out the show today. Look at that. Gentlemen,
Wow, look at that.
soak it in.
Well,
9-3
Oh, wow,
RMC, a 31-18 game record there. That's very clean. That's good stuff. You've got Gen G and G2 in the 2 and 3 spot, both 8-4. Of course, Space Station and SR 8-4 as well. But the game differential will separate those squads, as well as I think head to head. I don't know the exact rules, but there's our top 5, and we have Dig with that win going 6-6, and they have at this very moment popped themselves into the playoff spot, number 6, and OG a big regain. We started today. What was it? 2-7. They win all. They won all 3 of their matches today. So huge day for OG, and we talked about it at the top of the stream. They had to have that if they wanted a chance for the playoff bracket, and they've done a great job to put themselves in position to strike. We got Incorrect, Hoab, and Fun rounding out 8, 9, and 10. So, like we said at the beginning, not too much of a shock. I think, if you're an RMC fan, you're definitely excited to see them up there above Gen G and G2. And I think that just goes to show, throughout league play, you've got to be consistent, and RMC has brought that consistency, Corelli.
RMC has been consistent. I do have my eye. I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I'm going to say it again, on OG. They go into the back half of the last week of the Shift Summer League, going up, playing against the likes of G2. They've got to play RMC. They've got to play SSG. I think they have to play RMC twice. I don't think they've actually. One time. So this is an opportunity for OG to really knock down some of these teams that are above them. They'll get head-to-head matchups against them in these last 2 days of the Shift Summer League. So that's really fun. I feel like that's the team I've got my eye on the most. Of course, Dignitas is always on my radar, but as we keep mentioning, I don't know what we're going to get from them. They're sitting at very even 6-6, but OG, a big surging week for them.
Spaceman, we've got the standings, seen the results today.
Yes, sir.
Any closing thoughts as we wind down week number 2 for Shift Summer League?
The teams today, OG, RMC, the teams today that had to step up and not only win their series to secure either their standings or a chance to fight for standings in top 6, the teams that needed to win in sweeps in those fashions, they did that. So I'm very happy to see a lot of those squads step up today. Very, very happy for them. OG started off today against Dig, who took them 3-1 earlier, and they came out and swept them, which was a hell of a statement from OG. Cool to see RMC at number 1. That's right. Welcome back. You should know how this is going to go. But seriously, good to see the boys with a good map record, good overall standings at the number 1 spot. So they should, barring a disaster of getting swept 3 straight times next week, they should be okay to be within top 4. I think they'll hold on to the 1 or 2 spot. But for everybody else, we only have 1 more week of action, man. So the top 6 right now, it might change. We might see Dig fall in or out depending on how OG wants to show up next week. A lot on the line for anybody sitting right on the edge. But for your top 4, I think this is a really good showing of NA's talent, really good showing of what these players bring to the table this late in the season. And very happy to see, a squad that Carly and I have followed for obviously many tortured months do pretty well. So cool.
Absolutely. I think the thing I'm most excited about is we got a nice 1080p Corelli both days in week 2. We love to see it.
I missed the old one.
We'll see if it happens next week.
That's going to do it there for week number 2 of Shift Summer League. We've had some fun. We brought you some great action. A shout out to the teams. Of course, all the people working hard behind the scenes to bring this action. But listen, we are not done yet. We have 1 final week of league play. They've got 6 more matches, 6 more matches each. And listen, this is when it gets intense. This is when it gets exciting. We're going to find out who makes it into that top 6, who makes it into the money, who will be walking home with that 7 through 10 spot. Folk, that is it. We are signing off. Shift Summer League Week 2 comes to a close. We'll catch you next time.
Can somebody take my breath away? Hold me tight, lonely babe. I've been searching for something to ease my mind, till you came along, never thought I'd find. Take me away in this moment when I'm here with you. Been chasing this feeling, now I feel brand new. Get
me so tight, you numb my pain. I was searching for something to ease my mind. Didn't realize you're the one I'd find. Take me away in this moment when I'm here with you. Been chasing this feeling, now I feel brand new. Get on a plane, go wherever with you. Take me away in this moment when I'm here with you. Been chasing this feeling, now I feel brand new. Get on a plane, go wherever with you. Take me away. Take me away. You've taken me higher than I've ever been. 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 Lost hope, changing tides. Try to remember spaces open wide and nothing but embers, yeah. So perfect days falling from the height, still clutching on your hands tight. Now I'm alone with the warning signs. Just feel it slipping under so quiet. Hold your breath, it's a deep dive. Stood at the edge as we're so tight, rust in our eyes. Just feel it slipping under so quiet. Hold your breath, it's a deep dive. Stood at the edge as we're so tight, rust in